What is up, my ninjas? I am Strydent, and welcome to this bonus off our brains, number 36. Today we are talking about Voltron. We were going to do it in the 35, but we decided to branch out and make it a longer, make it a separate video instead of doing an extra long previous video. So, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, or Kwanzaa, Happy Festivus for the rest of us, and whatever else I forgot. But we felt like we needed to give you guys a little extra, give you something else real quick, because we had a lot more to say, a lot to say in general about Voltron, and I figured this would be a good way to do it. So, sit back, relax, get your eggnog, whatever drink of choice, just chill out, and listen to us rant about Voltron, because we do have so much to say because of all the good they did, even if it didn't hit everybody's expectations. So I, for one, was completely satisfied. So, I don't know. I respected the vision, and I love what they did. So, anyway, here we go. Okie dokie. Is this thing on?
Mm-hmm.
We are back, and we are going to talk today about
Voltron.
Yeah, I was about to say I was about to say Spider-Verse again, but we did a whole thing about that. Yeah, we're gonna talk about Voltron. We're also gonna talk a little bit about the Hellboy trailer, and yeah, just thoughts on that in general. So, as most of the time, I'm here with Agent O.
What's up?
And yeah, I guess this is a double dose of off our brains. So, yeah, what'd you?
Part two.
I know, right? So yeah, so we got that Hellboy trailer. What was that? 2 days ago, something like that, right? Yeah, it was earlier this week. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I'm gonna see it, but I was already down to see it.
Yeah.
And it seemed like actually the jokes actually landed for me, so that's definitely a plus. I mean, I know you got problems with the face.
Yeah, I don't like the makeup. It just looks. Some of the makeup just looks. His makeup looks weird from certain angles. It just looks generic. It doesn't look like Hellboy. It's like after the precedent has been set with what he should look like. How do they not? And I get it. Every makeup artist will want to do. Every person who does a role after the previous role has been done, or the previous take on that role, they all want to do something different. You look at the Joker and you see how drastically different they all have been. But with Hellboy, the face is important because that's part of what makes him work. He's not the kind of character where he has an overtly demonic face and then his actions contradict the face. Nah, he has a weird dude face. He doesn't look overtly, like his face doesn't look overtly evil. Like he doesn't have fangs. He doesn't have like sharp pointy ears. He just has the big ass horns, and he has this like long, like a pill-shaped face, this big-ass head,
A big square jaw.
And a big-ass jaw. But then they get David Harbour, and he does have the jaw, but then they put mutton chops on it. Then they give him long hair, which covers up you know what I mean? The long hair and the mutton chops kind of bleed together. So it makes
his hair's
his face
not tied back in the top knot like you see.
Yeah, I know. Like it's long and it's out.
Yeah.
And so when the mutton chops, and it's dark, just like the mutton chops, and so the two things bleed together. It makes his face look extra narrow. And he's got a soul patch too, like it comes all the way, like a soul patch goatee type deal that goes all the way down to the bottom. I don't know. And then he doesn't have the maw that Hellboy has. Hellboy has like a ridiculous underbite.
Yeah, the underbite's there, and you can see it from certain angles.
But it's so subtle.
It's not enough that like on certain angles, to me, I was like,
good.
He looks like a red monkey. Like you would always hear them say in the original movies or even in the comics. My biggest issue is his lips, because the original Hellboy, when Perlman emoted or when he talked, he used his mouth a lot, and you can see like the expressions he makes.
Yeah.
But in the trailer, I mean, you can look in the trailer and you see you can tell his lips are moving around underneath whatever prosthetics are over his mouth, and it doesn't look as good.
And then there's my big gripe, is his fucking jacket.
That jacket looks cheap.
How do you fail so hard at something so simple and you already had it done for you in live action? So, in the Guillermo del Toro Hellboy, both of them, the red right hand or the right hand of Doom, that sleeve on that jacket had like an opening and it had buckles to tighten once he puts his hand through the giant hand through the sleeve, and then the other sleeve is normal. It's on all the old figures that I think what was it? Mezco did those figures.
I think so. I can't remember.
It was either Mezco or Art Asylum, but anyway, the old figures had it. You can see it if you just do a search for, Ron Perlman Hellboy. Then you look at this one, he's wearing a fitted fucking trench coat like Gambit with that giant arm sticking out the bottom of it. And it's like, so what? Did he pull his hand off and put his nub through it and then put his arm back in the sleeve? Because that's like a really obvious, for those of us who were paying attention to these things, it's kind of obvious, and it's like, that's the costume designer's job.
Yeah.
Like, I'd kill to be doing that, to design the look of the character and pay attention to all those little details and then have it translated to, like, a actual designer. I need to hit
the jacket just looked really cheap. It looked like it was made out of felt.
Like he went to Sears and just snatched up, or the thrift shop and just snatched up the first coat he could
looks
find.
like somebody homemade that shit. Like,
yeah, I know
you don't have to use real leather. Just use a material that actually looks like something. It looks like those
robe.
Custom jackets that you can buy, like that people make for our 6-inch action figures. That's what that shit looks like. Like you don't see any zipper, you don't see
China,
any,
no buttons,
just, nothing.
That's true. It does look really cheap, like a cosplay jacket, like a fake ass cosplay jacket. That's terrible. I didn't even think about it like that. But yeah, there's a certain level of detail that like anything Guillermo del Toro is involved with has. I know he's one of those people who he like takes over a production, even ideas with his ideas and everything. Like his whole shtick, like if he's gonna do it, it becomes unmistakably his. And sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad. But I don't know, man. I'm just not feeling this this weird kind of topical. It's just, I don't know. It's too topical. It's too like, you get the point, but it's not, they got the point, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? They're missing vital details. And if you miss those vital details, if those are the kind of things they're already missing, I could imagine the story falling apart. You know what I mean? Like, if they didn't pay attention to the look of the character, just imagine what they did, what they, missed with the actual story.
Yeah, let's hope that's not the case. But.
Yeah, I hope it's not, honestly. I don't want it to fail.
Plus, I want to see Daniel Day-Kim, get a break, because...
Yeah, they don't use him in anything.
Yeah, not enough. I mean, he was in Hawaii Five-0, but he left because they were him and the other Asian chick, they were dicking over.
Yeah.
And they were one of the main reasons people were tuning into that show in the first place. So
for those of you
who see Johnny Gat,
yeah, I was about to say, for those of you who don't know, that's Johnny Gat, and from the Saints Row series. Yeah, it makes sense for him to be fully utilized, and it sucks when they have good talent and they don't utilize them for one stupid reason or another, But yeah, that looks good. I just don't like the look of Hellboy, and I'm hoping that, because the rumors are the reaction has been negative.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. It's been like almost unanimously negative. But you know how these days people hate for the sake of hating.
And probably a lot of those people are Perlman and Del Toro fans.
I mean, hey,
but I mean, that's not an excuse to hate. I mean, either they were going to be able to do the movie or not, And it's not going to be totally up to them. It's going to be the studio's final decision.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. I'm willing to give it a chance, and if it turns out to be a bad movie, then it's a bad movie, and they'll probably not do another one.
Yeah.
But to totally write it off because it's not doing exactly the things you want it to do. We complain about people who say they didn't make the movie I wanted them to make. So I mean, I don't know. You just just watch the movie and judge it on itself. Don't walk in with your own baggage.
That's true. That's true.
That's why I felt a lot of people had problems with Into the Spider-Verse, because you're walking in with your baggage and of the previous Spider-Man movies, or how you think who should be Spider-Man and who shouldn't be.
Well, a lot of the people who hate Into the Spider-Verse, I would imagine, are the same people who didn't like Miles Morales to begin with.
Yeah.
So, you know, they it's just kind of par for the course. Like, oh, fucking Black Spider-Man? Not in my universe. You know what I mean? Like, that's literally what it is. And it gets old. It's like, really? You racist fuck? Like, seriously? It's comics. Let it be comics. Enjoy the fucking comics, you know? But, you know, that's how people be. They be like that. What about Men in Black?
Oh, yeah, I'm totally down for that. You know, I mean, Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson together again. It's going to be, I don't know. It looks entertaining. I like that they gave a little nod to the original movies that you saw in the trailer.
Well, it's in the same universe, which is dope, you know? Like,
yeah, it's what they should have did with Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to restart it all over again.
Yep.
It should have been like Ghostbusters. It should have been like a franchise, or not a franchise, but like
in a universe,
there should have been many different divisions of Ghostbusters.
I agree,
because then they could have brought in different ghosts and spirits from other cultures and shit, instead of just, you know, what they did with that movie. Because like I have no problem with a full all-female cast of Ghostbusters.
Yeah, that's not the problem. It's that all the shit that went along with it was bad. It was just purely bad.
Yeah, it wasn't a great movie. And there was parts where in that movie where like it was actually funny. Like there's a part where you could tell what's her name is ad-libbing with God, why are names skipping me now?
I know what you're talking about.
What's her name? She's always falling. She's always doing the fall gag.
Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah, Melissa McCarthy was with a chick from Saturday Night Live, and they were going back and forth. You could tell they were ad-libbing. That was actually funny. Hemsworth was funny.
Didn't Melissa McCarthy start out on freaking Saturday Night Live?
Probably.
Because I know a bunch of them were on Saturday Night Live. A bunch of the main cast of that movie. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about that movie, but I think MIB makes sense. Like, I wasn't impressed with that Ghostbusters movie, and I'm surprised that people. I shouldn't be surprised, but it bothered me that so many people were on that women being Ghostbusters. It's like, really, that's that weird. I mean, maybe it's the fact that it was an all-women team, but that didn't even bother me either.
Yeah, it didn't bother me. I think people they want to be mad because, one, they don't want to see it, and two, they're trying to use the excuse that they're trying to shove this down our throats.
Yeah, I hate that, because it's like you have a choice, just like any other movie. You have a choice whether you want to watch it or not.
Yeah, just don't go see the fucking movie.
If you don't like that sort of thing, then the movie's not for you. And I know that sounds like a very typical response, but it's the truth. You always have the choice to vote with your wallet. Yeah. If you don't like what you're about to see or what you've seen from the trailers, then this is clearly not your type of thing.
And don't blame the actors, because obviously the studio made the decision to go that route.
Yeah, what was the woman's name? The black lady that's in the movie? I can't remember her name for the life of me.
I know. It's pissing me off. Like any other day, I'd remember her.
Yeah,
but because I specifically have to talk about her, I can't remember her.
And we didn't talk about this beforehand either. So yeah, they got on her case and they were giving her all kinds of hate, and it's like, really?
And that's the weird thing. She wasn't even like the biggest star of the movie,
and she wasn't the worst thing in the movie.
Yeah, either. and they wanted to hate on her specifically. We all know why.
Yeah.
But
unfortunately,
she just became the target of the hate. I don't know. This is so weird, man. That whole situation was jacked up.
It's sad. It shouldn't be like that. It doesn't even have to be like that.
And I guarantee you, most of those people will go watch Men in Black and be like, "Yeah, this was a great movie." Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, and I mean, it's possible that the way Men in Black is handled will be 100% better. It already looks like it's 100% handled better than that Ghostbusters reboot, because it looks like the people involved already like I shouldn't say they like it, because this is a business. In the end, it's a business decision, you know.
Yeah.
But they, the people involved have an understanding, a better understanding, and probably a fondness for the source material.
Yeah.
So they're not gonna treat it the way they did with Ghostbusters. Whereas it felt like Ghostbusters was falling into that the realm that RoboCop did, the remake, and Total Recall before it, where it was like the name. We had some jokes that fit in the Ghostbusters world, and the name is gonna warrant a purchase of the ticket for a lot of people because they're familiar with the name.
Yeah.
So they were gonna sell those jokes and the tickets based on the name of the franchise, not necessarily on the quality of the things within. And that's, unfortunately, that's the way they do things these days.
Plus, it seems like the production for Men in Black, it seems like they just have their crap together more so than it did for Ghostbusters.
Yeah, the movie looked cheap. It looked very sci-fi-ish. Yeah, not Men in Black, but Ghostbusters did.
Yeah, and plus just like, the choices they're making, the people they're casting.
Yeah.
The director's F. Gary Gray, so I'm already on board for that because I don't know, I know not everybody likes the Fast series, but
I love it. They're the best G.I. Joe movies. They don't have the jokes in it.
Yeah, I like them, so I have a feeling this is going to turn out to be, if nothing else, a good popcorn flick.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, in the end, isn't that what you go to the theater for? I mean, like, you go to the theater not to be insulted, and you go to the theater to enjoy what you watch. Like, when we're being critical, yeah, there's things that
for a movie that deserves to be looked at under
a critical eye. Yeah, but like some movies, games, and such, it's entertainment, so you go to enjoy yourself, and it doesn't really always have to get deeper than, the movie was fun to watch. Like Fast and Furious is not the kind of movie I'm going to sit there and take apart. It's either I enjoyed it or I didn't. Yeah. Did the jokes hit? Did the action hit or not? Like Bumblebee. Yeah. I'm about to do a review on Bumblebee. I saw it early and I dug it, but it wasn't like it was the kind of movie that blew me away. The thing that blew me away was just the fact that they actually understood the source material. Like, they really did. The same way Miller and Lord understand comics. Like, I'm surprised they don't just write comic book films. Like, when you see Into the Spider-Verse...
will now.
Yeah, you see... Because they were going to do The Flash, and then something happened, and they ended up getting kicked off or fired. Because I heard they were fired from that.
Really?
The Flash, yeah.
And Marvel scooped them up.
And then, or maybe they were fired from Solo, and then they quit. Right, yeah. They quit working on on The Flash. So I don't know. I'll see. I guess we'll have to see. But I think when you see what Miller and Lord do with Bumblebee, you'll be like, "What the fuck?" Like, they literally took the. And I'm not going to harp on it. I'm just using this as an example. Like, the only things I can put under a microscope for a Transformers film is, since we had, 5 shit Bay movies? Yeah. In one movie, they fixed all that. They fixed all the issues. Cybertron looked good. All the Autobots looked like Autobots. All the Decepticons looked like Decepticons. The fucking Tetrajets are in the movie. Are you kidding me? Fucking Blitzwing is in the movie, and he looks like Blitzwing. He does what Blitzwing does. He doesn't look exactly like Blitzwing, but he looks pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, tan and purple.
Yeah.
I think it's only going to work on cartoons.
Exactly, and toys. So, like, yeah, he's recolored to fit in, but he turns into a tank and he turns into a plane. Freaking, Dropkick and Shatter. I don't remember them from the toys.
No, they
were made
toys,
up for the movie.
They changed Dropkick. They changed. It was originally one of the Insecticons.
I was just about to say he was
Kickback.
Yeah, there you go.
They changed it to Dropkick for whatever. Maybe they lost the rights to Kickback.
But they act like Decepticons. They act like they're part of the same outfit. You know what I mean? They act like, Shatter is in charge and Dropkick is the muscle, and he knows his place, and they're not just arguing with each other just because people think banter is funny, and they look distinct. Like, you can tell there's only 4 robots that are the main cast, that are part of the main cast. You know what I mean? Well, 3. The 4th dies. Sorry, I'm not going to tell you who, but the one of them you see early, they die. The other 2 are the bad guys, and one is, you know, Bumblebee himself. And then the other bots you see are on Cybertron, and they all look like they're instantly recognizable. And that's all we needed. And the story doesn't get too caught up in other shit. But, like, that's the kind of criticism you give an action film, especially when it's part of a series. But, like, stuff like...
Did it feel like the Transformers were still supporting characters in the film? Because I haven't seen the movie yet.
Bumblebee has equal screen time to Charlie. The two of them are like... Most of the time they're sharing the screen. Actually, and at one point it becomes three of them, and the three of them share the screen. Actually, the third person gets like 0 screen time. That dude like shows up, does his thing, then the camera usually just kind of moves over to focus on the two main people, and like that's how it is. It's like E.T. Like if E.T. was an action movie.
Okay.
That's what this feels like, and I got that feeling from the trailer, but then when you watch the final film, you're gonna be like, oh shit, okay. Like if E.T. could kick people's asses, like
I know, but I also had the trailer also gave me vibes from the original movies because you know how they had the scene where Bumblebee's in the living room and he's breaking everything in there because obviously he shouldn't be in there.
Yeah, and
then it reminded me of the backyard scene from the first film.
It's better than that.
And I was just like, oh god, are you guys retreading this crap again?
Nah, because in that
was
movie,
the stuff that didn't work to me.
No, because in that movie it's because Stu pointed that out in his review. He was like, he was thinking it was going to be a callback to that.
Yeah.
And then he said when he saw the scene play out, it wasn't lewd and it wasn't like everyone wasn't angry and it wasn't all like awkward.
Yeah.
Instead, it's literally just put the camera on Bumblebee and watch him fuck shit up because he shouldn't be there in the first place, and then see the reaction from the humans when they show up. And then it's done, and it all works because you get it. He was getting into mischief because he doesn't listen to, you know, what people tell him to do all the time. You know, he's not... I don't want to say he's not
he's
good with
maverick.
He's not like anti-authority. It's just that he gets into, you know, shit a lot, you know, and that was one of those situations. But yeah, it was played more for laughs. It wasn't trying to shock you or trying to offend you because it seemed like the Bayformers films, they were always trying to offend somebody.
Yeah,
you know, with stop lubricating the man. You know, like stop with fucking.
It was like the crass, like 12-year-old attitude, or written by a 12-year-old with a person with a 12-year-old mentality.
Well, it was aimed at them or frat boys. You know, it was that kind of humor, that kind of those kind of jokes, that kind of like when things were supposed to be badass. It was that kind of badass with no like logic. You know, beyond that, it's badass for the sake of being badass. Whereas, this was not trying to be badass. This wasn't trying to be whatever. It was just trying to be what you call it. I don't know. It was comedy for the sake of comedy. It was clean comedy. It was straight up clean. They didn't try to be all, you know, crazy with it. But yeah, you'll get more. I'll get into detail in the review for that. So Voltron. So we've watched the whole entire thing from season 1 all the way through to season 8.
Yeah.
And I think it was quality. It's not perfect, but then again, you know, it's literally 8 seasons. And usually when a series lasts that long, I always used to use Hercules and Xena as the example. When you last that long, there's certain things you almost have to do because it's a TV show.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be those obligatory, you know, the unnecessary backstory episodes or the flashback episodes or what do they call them, the recap episodes, you know what I mean? Or like for syndicated TV shows, there's always like, if it's an action show, it'll always have a musical episode or something, you know?
Or We All Get Shrunk situational episodes, which I'm okay with those.
Yeah,
like,
I don't mind.
A lot of people hate those filler episodes or those like standalone ones, but a lot of those always had some kind of point to go along with not necessarily, it won't, some of them don't actually have anything to do with the overarching story, but it would always be something it would always expound on something with at least one of the characters in the show. And I think that was like the true purpose of the episode.
Yeah.
You know, they get into these antics, or they end up playing this role playing game.
I was about to say that was the RPG episode.
Yeah, and I like that.
Me
that
too.
was one of my favorite standalone episodes.
Me too.
But it kind of gave you an insight on most of the characters.
What kind of character are they?
Yeah.
Because one thing I have to say, like the series does well, is that you don't see in a lot of other series is like you in what's the word I'm looking for, in creative writing classes. There's an exercise where there's a list of things, and they're questions. What would your character do if? And then they give you scenarios. What would your character do if they had to choose between this and this? What would they do if they went to the mall? What stores would they go to? What do they like to watch on television? Like, if they were a real person, what kind of things would you observe your character doing? And a lot of times when you watch TV shows, especially animated shows and stuff, there's very few that get that in depth with the character where you could be like, Batman would probably not really watch much television. You know what I mean? Because he'd probably just get pissed. Like, and when he does watch TV,
fucking busy.
and then also he spends his time always doing shit. So like he wouldn't. But like in The Dark Knight Returns, they have that scene of him watching the news every night. And the more he watches, the more pissed he gets because it's dumber and dumber and dumber, and there's more fucked up shit happening. And then it's like his other personality is like, see, this is why you should have never put me away, motherfucker. Like, you should have let me do what I've been doing. And well, they allude to the other personality, but with some characters, like on Voltron, what kind of TV Lance would watch. Lance would be watching what most of the people watching YouTube would be watching. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's that guy. You do see him mature, which is awesome. And that's the other thing. Another exercise or a way that you can tell a story is worth a damn is you take the main characters and you take what they start out as, and then you look at what they end up like at the end of the story. Are they the same at the end as they were in the beginning? That means the writer failed because there was no journey. They didn't learn anything. Nothing happened. If there's a drastic change by the end, then it's awesome. You're like, holy shit, they actually, they learned something. They grew. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, unfortunately, they don't do that. In modern, with as critical as audiences try to be because they get online and they jump on the bandwagon because someone pointed out a thing, a lot of shows don't really do it. They'll change just a little bit. They learn something, or they learn it, and then by the end, they completely contradict what they learned, and you just keep going. I mean, I see it in anime all the time, and you have people writing these fucking essays about how I learned to deal with grief through, watching, I don't know, fucking
Evangelion.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Some shit like that, and it's like, no.
Speaking of anime, we gotta talk about Goblin Hunter, but yeah.
Oh, Lord. Oh, my God.
Or Goblin Slayer, whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah, ugh. But this show does it. This show really does it. I dug, and I have to say I dug that they stuck to their guns with Shiro.
Yeah, man. People need to get over that shit.
Yeah, I really thought that after all the backlash about Shiro being gay, that they were going to really, switch it up to appease the complainers, but they didn't, and I'm kind of proud of them for that, because, you live in a world with gay people.
Yeah.
Just like...
Hell, it's probably people you like that are undercut, that haven't come out yet are gay. Like, people in the industry, your favorite artist or your favorite actor, and what happens if you find out they're gay one day?
It shouldn't change your perspective on how much you like what they were able to achieve, because you don't really know them. You know their achievements. You know what they've presented to you.
Yeah, you know their celebrity persona.
Yeah, and there's a reason why they keep a lot of that shit to themselves. And then, the fact that it's different if they're a star, but it's not... It's just... It shouldn't be a thing. It really has no... Neil Patrick Harris. Everyone loves Neil Patrick Harris. And then I heard people diss him when he was gay, and I was like, he's gay? I was like, who gives a shit? He always plays a straight character on movies that you see him in.
He was fucking Doogie Howser.
And he's hilarious. Gay, straight, whatever. He's fucking funny. Why do I care what his love life is like?
I know, it's not like he's going to show up and try to get with you. So, just get over it.
No, and then, if you like the dude, and he did show up and try to get with you, then you'd have to have one of those life-changing, should I or should I not? I mean, think about like there's so many people out there who their perspective, like for me, I know I'm not. It's too late for me. I'm as straight as they come. I will disappear in those situations. I'd just be like,
magic,
yeah,
invisible.
You'd be gone, disappear. I'd be gone. But I'd give him dap though, and then I'd be like, disappear, and I'd be out. But like, there's you notice how like some people's perspective will change when they end up being on the other end of that problem. Does that make sense? Like if they don't like something from afar. And on the internet, it's easy to be from afar because you're anonymous, you're hidden behind your avatar, you're in the safety of your home. Whatever you're commenting on is out there. But then when the tables are turned and you happen to find yourself being under scrutiny for a choice you made, now your perspective is a little different because now you're going through the thing you put other people through. It's like people in the comments. I still, and I know so many of you have this, where there's those guys who have 0 videos and almost no online presence other than in the comments. They show up to troll, to criticize, to point out. Actually, how many of you have seen that shit in your YouTube comments? You know what I mean? Actually, like, motherfucker, seriously? Why do you have to be a dick about something? Share the information without trying to come off as, you know, the all-knowing, all-seeing everything. You know what I mean? Like, they show up strictly to try to bring you down. And then when you go to look at what they've done, they haven't done anything because they don't have the balls to do it. But when they finally do, like, work up the nerve to start putting their perspective out there for public consumption, now they're going to want you to take it easy on them because they're going to be, you can already tell they're sensitive, which is why they didn't put their shit out there in the first place. Why it took them as long, potentially, because this is all theoretically. Or theoretical. This is why it took them so long to get to that point. So, yeah, I think with that whole gay thing, they need to get over that shit. You know, I've had good friends that were gay, and I've had friends that I didn't like, or people I've known that I didn't like that were gay. They're just like anybody else.
People we didn't like that were straight.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's just like anything else. I've known straight people that were just fucking assholes. Those alpha male, you know, wannabes or alpha male stereotypes that run around letting everybody know how much they love being a straight male, and then you know behind the scenes they're grabbing their friend's dick when they're playing around. But it's not play. You're literally telling us that there's something else going on with you that you haven't come to terms with. We went to college with dudes like that. Those dudes who in the locker room are always grabbing your ass or trying to pull one of your nipples or some shit. Like, what the fuck? That's not straight behavior. You need to really figure some shit out. But, you know, I'm just saying, it's not as big of a deal when you think of all the things that Shiro has done as a character. It's not a big deal.
It doesn't even really factor in.
It doesn't change shit.
It's out there. It's but they never make it a point to
it's not
focus
all he
on
is.
it.
Yeah, it's not all he is. I mean,
it doesn't define him either.
Yeah. I mean, you think about all the shit he's done, and they're just putting it in there to show you here's another character with a different kind of life. You know, so they all don't have the exact same life, which I'm all for it. I like it. I was like, at the end, I was like, oh shit, a whole bunch of people are gonna be mad about this.
Yeah.
I saw it and
I
knew
literally started clapping because I was like, yeah, what a good way to say F you to the fans. That or the haters that didn't like that.
Well, the Voltron fandom is kind of like a mess. It's like, it's funny because if you go on YouTube, it's like there's a handful that are just regular YouTubers that, you know, they actually do other stuff than complain about ships. But then like the majority are folks that are way too obsessed with the relationships of fictional characters in shows that are done. Like the show has finished. So the people who made the show have moved on to other shit.
Well, were they mad that Allura and Lance
there were people mad at that. There were people mad at season 8 altogether.
Yeah, I heard that a lot of people didn't like it, but I was just like, I don't know what. I had no real big problems with season 8.
I have a problem.
I want to rewatch it again because I kind of blew through it so fast because I was just like, oh my god, this is so good. I got to see what happens next.
I had that feeling, and then I had a problem. So like and I'll get to the problem, but the overarching theme of season 8 was...
Oh, I know what your problem is.
They essentially they had already been going all over the place to protect other universes and other worlds and other, you know, other planets, other places, etc., friends, blah, 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 whatever. And now when they came home, then shit really hit the fan, and now everything is being threatened. And you learn about Lotor's mom.
Yeah, or Nerva.
You learn about the original Paladins. You learn about the Alteans. You just learn a little more about everyone. The crew of the Atlas. You learn, you understand now a little bit more about all these characters that you've been seeing them.
Yeah, they expanded on things in that, or characters in that show that in a way that the originals never did.
Mm-hmm. That's why when going back to Shiro, when people bring up Shiro and complain about him and he's so gay, blah blah blah, whatever, I'm like, but nobody liked Sven, and so
yeah.
If they improve on Sven and they make him like a heroic character and make him more interesting, because I know Sven is the U.S. version, but his Japanese counterpart was Shiro, and it's essentially the same role. It's just not played for laughs in Japan. You know, not all the way, just a little bit, and he wasn't really that like
originally, he wasn't even that important.
Yeah, he wasn't.
He was hardly in the series. Like I remember him in the series at the very beginning,
yeah,
and at the very end because he was trapped on a slave colony. Like the entire time the Voltron Force had been doing their thing.
And in Go Lion, they were beating the fuck out of those people on that slave. They whipped some dude into dust. Like this dude, they like whipped him, and he just vaporized. I was like,
whip him
God.
like a laser whip.
Yeah, I was like, holy crap. I mean. Yeah, I watched both. I watched Go Lion and I watched Voltron. I didn't realize at the time, because I was much younger, I didn't realize that I was watching two different shows. I just thought it was more Voltron because I couldn't find... We were in Chinatown, and I couldn't find the English dubbed, the Voltron stuff. I saw Voltron, or Go Lion, as he's called in Japan, but it was subtitled. So I assumed it was the same shit, just this is the Japanese version. I mean, technically it is. And I watched a big chunk of the series in Japanese, not realizing that they were completely separate entities in some ways, because the American show is so hacked up, and it's like 2 or 3 different shows put together to make Voltron. So, yeah, it's strange. I don't get that. But the fleshing out that they did actually made everybody a complete character, even the background characters on the Atlas. It actually feels like no one is actually a background character because they've devoted time to, every character. I mean, Kincaid, the black dude
who never talked,
who never really
and
said
that
anything.
pissed me off.
Yeah.
And then they did this episode and they explained like why he doesn't talk.
Yeah, he's an introvert. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, that was one of my other favorite episodes of that.
Yeah, they did a good job. I was impressed. I mean, like, for all the nitpicks, and that's all I'm seeing in most of the videos where people complain. And the other thing they complain about is who is the guy that Shiro ends up with at the end of the series. And I could have sworn he's someone you saw on the
probably was
on the ship, but again,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's just saying
it's not the point. It's about Shiro and his conclusion to his arc. His arc, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, people were like, we'd love to have known who he was.
Why? When most of you guys didn't want him to be gay in the first place. Like, or would you have asked that question if it was a woman? Like, I wonder how many people those people would have.
All right. So, but they fleshed out all the characters, all the background characters, all the villains, and then the supporting characters, which were the Alteans. They're pretty much the only supporting characters.
I mean, that and the Earthlings, Pidge's parents.
Well, I mean, but they fleshed them out in episodes before, in other seasons. But the Alteans, like the ones that we see in the final season,
rescued.
Yeah, you never get a full-on characterization of those folks. You just know that they're kind of the innocent party in the middle of this big conflict, and it's like, how the fuck are they gonna, how are they gonna survive all this craziness? And I mean, like, it's crazy. And you pointed it out. it seemed like the directors and writers and artists all had watched Gurren Lagann.
Yeah, man.
They just took the whole concept of escalation and kept applying it to Voltron. And it was like the situation just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then when you finally hear the scope, it can't get any bigger because it was literally like reality is in danger.
Yeah.
Like all reality, not just one reality, all of it. So yeah, it was pretty dope. It's strange to me that people had so many issues. I'm still kind of...
Yeah, I didn't read anything specific. I just read other people saying that they didn't like the last season, and since I didn't read anything specific, I'm just wondering, like, what was it that they didn't like? Like, I loved how they fleshed out Ornerva, because in the original show, she was just Hagar, and that was kind of it.
Yeah, now you know
that
like, she took someone's identity after she killed them.
Yeah, and she wanted, and in the end, all she wanted was her family back together the way they were before they got, infected with the quintessence.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it doesn't feel like that's not anything fresh or new, but it was more than what we got before.
And it's along the lines for those people who want that. Because these days, we live in the era of the sympathetic villain.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just be evil because there are good people and they're evil. You can't just be good because that's boring. Why are you going to be good? Those people are Boy Scouts. It's whack. Everybody disses that. Then you can't just be bad either because that's a generic Saturday morning cartoon villain. And you hear this from people who didn't really watch Saturday morning cartoons. Because if you grew up in the last, 15 years, they kind of don't exist.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's strange. You get it, and then you complain. You don't get it, you say you want it. So,
It's not what it's not the way I would have wanted.
I know, and then they don't write anything. So, how can we fix this if you don't actually want to do anything? Like, you don't want to contribute. You can't pick a side and stay on that side. It's not a consistent, complaint.
Entertain me the way I want to be entertained. That's basically what they're saying.
read my mind and entertain me the way I want to be entertained. Yeah, it's bogus. I feel like it's not even I feel. I have noticed that a lot of times that's what criticism comes down to online. It's do things the way I want it done, even though I wouldn't do this.
And even though I don't know how it should be done.
Yeah, like, and I think in this case, with all the shippers complain, it's like, get over yourself.
Or write fan fiction for that bullshit.
You got a problem with the way literally a character's life went. Because you want it to be altered in a way that you can get your rocks off. That's different.
And shipping shouldn't even be a thing. Like, I'm tired of that being in anime.
Yeah,
it's annoying. If the story is supposed to play out a certain way, then
respect the writers.
It should play out that way. Like,
respect the people who create the shit you like, and understand. I mean, like, honestly, the only reason why people tolerate it is because those same folks that complain and write fan fiction and draw their fucking yaoi and yuri and all that shit, like, it's because they still consume the shit that's being made. You know what I mean? Like, they still buy all that shit. Even though they complain about how they want it to be.
Who were they even going to ship? Like,
what? In what?
In Voltron.
Oh my god, you've never seen all?
No, I don't. Man, I don't look at that. Mess.
I don't look at it, but in reviews,
when I read the reviews,
when I read other people, like people I give a shit what they think because they give a good analysis.
Oh, okay.
They point out, like, the shippers are pretty. There's a couple videos about the fandom of Voltron. And I'm telling you, when we finished it, I'm not watching those. Yeah, you are. Because this dude broke down. There were a whole lot of... Like, I don't get into fandom. I've done videos on it. I just... The fans of most things piss me off. They make me not like the thing. Like, when I moved here from New Jersey, I was a sports fan. I liked football. You know what I mean? I liked basketball. But I wasn't all into college football or college basketball.
It wasn't your life. And, and your mood didn't change based on whether the team won or not.
Well, like, I didn't like a team just because I lived in that city. You know what I mean? Like, I like the team based on their performance. Do they play the way I like to play? I've played basketball and football, and I prefer more aggressive play styles, so I always followed teams that were more aggressive. and I liked how they played. It wasn't about that I live in that state or I live in that city or whatever. But then I moved here, and they go ape shit over college to the point where it's like it almost feels like nothing else exists.
It's a cult.
And I'm like, no. Like, remember that my first week in Ohio, I'm walking down High Street, and a motherfucker jumped out and knuckled up in front of me because I had on a navy blue shirt. I'm like, I don't even have the yellow or the white accompanying it. I didn't have an M somewhere on my clothes. But he saw blue, and they're that fucking obsessed that, all the possibility that I could just be wearing a blue shirt didn't cross the man's mind.
Yeah.
So, like, that kind of shit. And then I saw people, Ohio State lost to Michigan that year.
Yeah, and they're like
burning couches and pushing them out the top floor of their apartments. People trying to tip cars. I'm like, it's a fucking college game. Get over it. And I know there's other towns that are crazy like that. Don't get me wrong. But just being in the center of it, like, a dude wanted to knuckle up with me. I'm like, so now I got to serve a dude, and I don't even know why he's angry outside of the colors. And someone had to point it out to me because the idea was so foreign. Back home in Jersey, we disagree about our teams all day long. I just don't talk to that dude about sports. You know what I mean? Because we disagree on which teams we like and the reasons why we like the teams. But out here, it's like it's your way of life.
Yeah.
And when it becomes like that, to me, I'm like, nah, I'm good. Same thing goes for, when I talk to people about anime. Like, remember Zeke was like, I can't watch anime that's made before 2005. I'm like, so you're saying you don't give a shit about the golden age of the medium. Yeah, it's too old. It's just not... The fuck? It's not all about trends. The trendy shit is not half as good as the good shit from back in the day.
Plus, you're missing on why a lot of those archetypes even exist by not looking at some of the old stuff.
Where they came from. And it's like, when you're watching like Miyazaki or some shit like that, the time period is not really... It's not evident by what you're watching, because he tries to make these stories that are timeless.
Yeah.
They don't even, like, in the movie itself, typically, there aren't too many, I shouldn't say typically, in a lot of them, it's not extremely explicit what time period this takes place in. Sometimes you'll see cars, but then you'll see old style buildings, and you'll be like, fuck, is it now in a place that still has old style, architecture? Or, is it back in the day? Or like, when he does more fantasy type stuff, it'll be a culmination of everything. But anyway, I'm going on a tangent, but I'm just saying, like, anime fans do this weird shit where they have all these excuses for why the thing they like you go on YouTube right now, you're going to find, and just put in anime reviews. You've got, Mother's Basement and Super Eye Patch Wolf and all these guys writing these fucking essays where they make anime sound like the most philosophical shit ever.
Mother's Basement?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the guy lives in his mother's basement?
Well, because they, nerds live in their mother's basement.
Oh, wow.
So he's taking on the mantle.
Wearing it like a badge of honor? That's a badge of honor you don't want to wear.
but
badge of honor is not going to get you laid, my friend.
but no, I mean, dude's got views. He's got shitloads of subscribers. So, like, he probably is making some decent money. But the point I'm saying is that it's like this is who the younger viewers are getting their perspective from.
I guess we're not doing it right then.
They don't. We're not doing it right.
Yeah, I guess
because we're not
trying to patronize that to that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not going to tell you how Dragon Ball Z helped me through the toughest times in my life, because it can't. It just fucking can't. But there's all these video essays about how it's like
Dragon Ball Z saved me from getting beat up by the cops.
Like, get the fuck out of here. No, yeah, they can't fuck. But there's people writing essays like that. You know what I mean? And like they elevate the form. The like, there's one dude. His name had a 9 in it. I think it was a 9. It was like Kid 9 or some shit. And he was calling My Hero Academia trash. And I was like, wow, so you're just doing this to piss off people to get views.
He was just trolling?
I don't know. He just kept saying... He was talking about Goblin Slayer, and then he says he doesn't watch trash like My Hero Academia. And I was
But he watches Goblin Slayer?
No, he was criticizing Goblin Slayer. So I was like, wow, so what do you watch? So, like, one shonen is
ecchi.
Complete... Yeah, probably. Or straight up hentai. But like, I I didn't bother to like research it, but I just like hearing all this shit is like why I don't like the fandom. It's like you guys don't even appreciate the medium.
He doesn't watch Goblin Slayer, but he's trying so hard to be an edgelord.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's this weird, like everybody thinks that they're so much, and maybe I'm doing it too. But I do, when I go back and I talk about anime, it's a broad brush. I'm painting with broad strokes. When I talk about Miyazaki, it's not the same as fucking the people who did Puppet Princess. Those are two completely different ends of the spectrum. You know what I mean? When I talk about Street Fighter 89, it's not mecha anime. You know what I mean? When I talk about what's the other one that I did? Ranma One Half. That's completely the other end of the spectrum. You know what I mean? It's like martial arts and slice of life put together. And it has nothing to do with mecha and, you know what I mean? And demons and blah, blah, blah. It's completely different.
I mean, we watch a broader range than, I guess,
than most
people do.
And then there's those folks who and I'm using anime because I know a lot of people who listen to this stuff, they're into anime and such. There's a lot of people who say they watch everything, but they watch the stuff that their friends are talking about. They watch the stuff that's trendy right now.
Stuff that everybody's saying is popular.
Yeah.
Like they'll go on like
My Anime
IO9 or Kotaku where they do their articles about the newest anime of the season, of the spring season.
Yeah.
And which ones you should be watching. And then that in turn tells them what they should be watching instead of just figuring the crap out for themselves.
For yourself, exactly. And that's what frustrates me. Like, I shouldn't have to get online to find out what's hot to me. I shouldn't have to listen to someone else tell me what's going to appeal to me. I should be able to get online, figure it out for myself. But fandom doesn't seem to work like that in this day and age. Fandom in this day and age is people dick riding on the last popular person that said they like a thing. And based on that person's popularity, a whole bunch more people will believe what that person is saying as the truth. And that's how they inform themselves on a thing. And that's how you end up with, Ace Combat Assault Horizon was garbage. You know what I mean? Yeah. Therefore, and then the company has to now be like, fuck, we just thought we made a huge step forward in cinematic, almost arcadey gameplay, which you guys wanted because you said the game was too slow before we made Assault Horizon. And then now they got to take a step back and go right back to the old slow gameplay. You're just
flying around, firing
missiles forever because that's realistic.
You can carry 200 missiles on your ship, which makes no goddamn sense.
Yeah. But that's what the fans want. So you know what I mean? Like that's how you get that. The popular opinion starts to inform the people who make the stuff that they're talking about, and then the people making that stuff, they want to make the money, so they have to now tweak their vision to appease those same folks who are so fickle that all this shit is lost on them in the first place. And that's our fandom. So it's difficult for me to get in, feel what the fandom says because the fandom doesn't fucking get it. The fandom usually doesn't get it. And with Voltron, their fandom, see, I brought it back. Mm-hmm. Their fandom is extremely fickle because their like and dislike of an episode depends on how much focus was put on their favorite fucking ship. Or, you know what I mean? Their favorite combination of characters that they want to be together. Like, they ship Keith and Lance. And I'm like, they're friends. And literally...
Lance is just
sweet on Allura. So
and he was always trying to play up the whole I'm a ladies man, womanizer type deal. How is that ever going to happen between Keith?
This is why you need to watch the video.
No, man, you've already told me. You just told me why I don't need to watch it.
No, I'm telling you.
That statement right there.
No. Someone explains to you what makes them bad. And gives you the examples about what is annoying about the fan. They're not saying, "Hey, join us."
Oh, okay.
No. They're explaining to you, like the dude did a video. I'll find the guy. I have him in my. I
was gonna be like, no,
no. I'm not trying to freaking bring you on board with the fan. No, because he breaks down.
One of us.
I know, right? Come along. You belong.
Okay, I get it now. Yeah,
but he breaks it down. Like, he broke down furries and explained to you where they came from, how the movement or the fandom, began, and how it became all crazy like it is now, and why they have the stigma that they have. Like, who it is that came from.
Yeah.
he explains. Well, I shouldn't say he. They, because it's several people. Yeah. Explain where like Sonic's fandom and how like a lot of the fans that hate some of the stuff that's happening right now in like
with the movie.
This was before the movie actually that this video came out, but he broke down like
how that mess is hilarious.
Yeah, that movie looks weird. I haven't seen any trailers or anything, but it looks weird.
Some of that fanfic is hilarious.
That's what I'm saying. He brought up like the fanfiction and explained the ones that were popular and where they base some of that shit from. Like there's some that like only the Archie continuity, but the Archie continuity also branches off into it's a clusterfuck of stuff.
It is.
And I didn't know because I just played the games and I may have bought maybe one Sonic comic on a whim back in the 90s.
Yeah. I only know because somebody on Kotaku wrote an article about this crazy fan fiction that somebody wrote, and it read like somebody who was 12 years old wrote this, because it probably was. But it was so damn funny. I couldn't stop reading the article because he had excerpts of it.
Yeah.
Because he was just talking about the absurdity of this this fanfic, and it cracked me up. And then people in the comments were posting like YouTube videos of like people who had animated Sonic fanfic.
About?
No, or their own. So it would be like Sonic would be in a love triangle with Cammy and Chun-Li. And they're trying to. You
see what we give you?
Yeah, I know.
Look at that. We were talking about Voltron. We gave you anime, and we gave you Sonic fan fiction with a triangle between Sonic, Chun-Li, and Cammy. Do you see what we give you?
Are you not entertained?
I know, right?
Yeah, man.
Oh my god.
Bonkers.
Yeah, I mean, and the dude explains like where a lot of this stuff comes from and how like there's certain people who got famous for how absurd. Like there's this one dude who has he's got some kind of issue, he's got a disability of some sort, and I can't remember which one it is, but I think his character's name is Sonic-Goo. And it's so bad. When he's done all these fan fictions and it's perverted, and he draws and his drawings are perverted, and like he'll put people he knows in the story and he's offended them, and then it's nuts. And like people trolled the shit out of this dude in real life. Like girls would pretend to like what he's writing to lure him to come out in real life, and then
dirty.
He'd come out in real life and it's like some shit you'd see in an old 80s like Revenge of the Nerds type shit where they, you know, fucking embarrass him in front of people.
That's how mass shooters are created. People
exactly.
Don't do that.
Yeah. But it's like hearing all this shit, you're like, oh my god, so this is what they're talking about. You know what I mean? So, seriously, that's too loud, man. I don't know. It's just, I sometimes, while I'm working on other shit and I don't want to look, I want to just listen to what's being said, I'll put on these like documentary style videos where they break this stuff down, and they just break it down with the facts. It's not like these anime dudes that try to do this meaningful analysis where they try to sound so fucking earnest about this stuff, and it's like, it's fucking fiction. Dragon Ball is not going to change your life. Stop pretending that it did. Like, if it did, then something is really wrong. And hey, if that worked for you, then hey, that's awesome. But this stuff is supposed to be entertainment. It's supposed to entertain you. Like, that's the point. When you give it all that extra fucking layers and power and shit, then, you know what I mean? Like, it's too much. And so, like, yeah, the shippers, they do that shit with Voltron, and they get ridiculous. I was about to say another something, but I don't want to offend people. I mean, I don't really care, but you know what I mean? It's stupid. It's like literally something mentally is off and people are going too far, and it's like, spend that energy on a real person and stop.
On a real relationship.
Stop with this dumb shit, because, you know, it's too much. But yeah, a lot of people dissed Season 8 based on choices that were made with certain characters.
Keith and Lance, though.
Yeah, I mean, hey, any two dudes. I mean, they did it with Naruto and Sasuke and several other dudes that have been in groups, and it's like, you know, obviously.
But that even,
I get
that
it.
Would one would actually. I mean, it's not what they're going for. It's not what the actual writers are going.
Yeah, but I mean, like, but it's like Ken and Ryu, where there's like those moments where it's like, wow, this is almost that. You know what I mean? Like, what's going down is almost in that realm, except the writers are meaning it in terms of friendship.
Yeah.
Whereas the readers or the watchers are taking it in a whole different direction. But yeah, I loved just about everything except how much Voltron just gets his ass beat. And that was a reoccurring theme. He gets his ass stomped by every new thing that pops up. And it's like, only when the story kind of needs him to, then he'll take the thing out in one hit or two hits.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is not Power Rangers. You know what I mean? Like, you can't have the Green Ranger or Dragon Ball. You can't have Vegeta be like leveling cities and countries when he first shows up, but then he's struggling to fight people on his own level. Like,
yeah, like the Altean OOBs were such a big threat in the previous season, and then
then by the
last couple of episodes, they were chopping their heads off, chopping them in half.
I'm like, you could have done that all this time, and so, you've been through so much that by now Voltron should have a fighting style. His fighting style is Jean-Claude Van Damme. It's literally, he starts to win when the plot says so.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, and it's always, Voltron is the smaller robot, and the bad guy is the bigger robot, and the bigger robot is just wailing on him, and it's like, where's your skills, guys? You got 5 fucking pilots in there, and all of you are really good at something when it comes to combat and such.
Yeah.
How are we struggling here?
Yeah, with Onerva and her Robeast.
It was bullshit with her because she never piloted shit. And if she used more magic, I'd be like, okay, I get it. But she didn't. She was out meching 5 fucking pilots.
But she also had, when she combined with...
That's different. I mean, when she first showed up, and even with the Alteans, like, who are the Altean pilots fighting all this time?
I mean...
Nobody.
We don't know if they were trained or what.
They weren't, because it was a peaceful colony that was away from everything. They told you that. They were in paradise. Nobody was fighting shit.
Yeah, I don't... Yeah.
And then they just said, oh, for the sake of the plot, they're going to beat the shit out of the 5 paladins that have been fighting across the galaxy every day, all the goddamn time. I was like, come on, guys. That'd be like watching a Street Fighter movie and Ryu can't serve anybody. Like, Ryu trains all the time, every day. Like, there's no way you're going to have 95% of the cast serving Ryu. The whole point is that the dude he's our avatar as the watcher, the reader. We want to be strong. We want to be able to stand up to all these other fighters.
We also want to know why we fight.
Yeah, I know, right? What is the meaning of battle? But we want to see that shit. We want to be able to be tough enough to deal with and stand up to all those other guys. And Ryu is that character to allow us to do it. He's the point of view character for us, the audience, whenever they do a film, adaptation or something, or anime or whatever. So for them not to make the Voltron Force have that same quality where it's like they can... I mean, they made them tough, but like there was very little about Voltron that made him stand out as a mecha, because like Gurren Lagann was a better mecha. He could literally attach to whatever and then take on those properties onto himself, you know what I mean? And it just kept getting more and more and bigger, and he gets stronger and stronger. And yeah, he'd get beat up, but then when they figure out what they need to do, then the story changes, you know what I mean? Whereas this was, you get beat up until the story says you don't need to get beat up anymore. Or
until you realize you had a skill you never had before.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, throughout the whole series, that had always been happening.
Yeah.
And then it happened again at the end when they combined with the Atlas.
Yeah.
Which kind of needed to happen because they needed something to put them on par with...
Yeah, with Onerva and the rest of them. So, yeah. I hate those breaks. They get on my nerves. But anyway, yeah, the whole, nature of their battles was kind of... Overall, it was well done. It's just they weren't very creative in their use of a mech like Voltron. I mean, like in one-on-one combat, I did like the idea of making Robeasts actually, like, enchanted robots, like, or mechs. That's dope. Like, I think all the improvements with the old like lingo and shit. You know, they did a good job kind of modernizing all that stuff. It didn't feel like they just used the name just to use the name, you know? Because a lot of times that's what these remakes of these shows do. They use the lingo just so that it's a callback and we say, oh, yeah, I remember that thing. But it doesn't actually turn out to, you know, it doesn't make sense and it's not an improvement. So, yeah, I dug that. I dug it a lot.
Yeah, I really don't have anything else I feel like I could add to Voltron. I mean, it was just damn good. It's harder for me to talk about stuff that was executed well than it is to talk about the stuff that wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's praise. I mean, like, we were talking to a friend or an acquaintance, I guess, or I don't know, someone we know.
Crony.
Crony. And he was saying that he dug the She-Ra reboot. And I was like, story-wise, I get what they're doing, and I like that they're trying to be mature about things and they're trying to make it grow up. But the execution of the overall show is not up to snuff. Because when you look at the genre that it falls into, I don't care if the focus is on girls. You still could draw things better. Because that franchise has to stand alongside He-Man and be on equal footing with him. Not conceptually, but visually as well. Like when you look at Voltron, you look at the old Voltron, look at the new Voltron. The style is updated, but the details are still there. It still looks like it's still firmly sitting in the same genre. It's just, what, 30 some odd years later? Yeah, because Go Lion was like late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
So it's like almost 40 years later. It's better. It's up to snuff. It's modernized. You know, they replaced a lot of the kind of good for its time, but kind of, I don't want to say rudimentary because it's still good mech design, but like 70s and early 80s mech design was not the greatest. So, you know, seeing the updates to all those mechs and even the Robies, some of the Robies were just terrible. And like seeing what they did with these new ones, they gave kind of like a new life to the idea of what a Robeast could be. So they don't feel so comical. They feel like a genuine threat.
Yeah.
Same thing with characters. Fleshing out in the whole series, fleshed out characters enough so that you understand why a character acts the way they act, even if they're just kind of a side character, you know? Like Iverson, he was an ass from the day you meet him. But then as they start to kind of gain respect for each other, then they open up and they let you know a little bit more about him, what kind of person he was, you know? And like once he respects you, he treats you a little bit more in a relaxed, slightly relaxed, more, a slightly more relaxed manner. Because, I mean, that's kind of real. Most people won't just be open with you 100% when they first meet you. And definitely in times of war, you got to prove yourself. I mean, obviously, you want to believe that everybody will stand up, you know, will be up to the challenge and do as much as you will do in a fight. But in the beginning, you kind of want to see if that person is about what they say they're about. You know what I mean? Before you know, eagerly put your life in their hands. You know what I mean? Or before you really give them the respect that you would give someone else who has been through the shit with you. You know what I mean? Like, and you see that, the bond that's created when you're, you know, you go through shit with people. And that's literally how all the characters that, you know, that are in this new Voltron, all the good guys, that's how they start to relate to one another. You even see how the other races that are part of the Voltron Coalition, or the Galactic Coalition, that's what they were called, something like that. How they all relate to one another, and how, you know, they learn a little bit about this group because of their interaction with them during a trying time. And that makes sense. That's the way it should be. It shouldn't be just, you know, we hate you because we've hated you for years. And then that just continues with no attempts to change it by any outside forces that are dealing with them, you know?
Yeah, the Coalition, though, like, the individual colonies or planets, whatever, they could have did a little bit more to defend themselves.
Yeah, it seems like they always were relying on Voltron.
Yeah, like Voltron can't be everywhere at once.
Yeah,
you guys are like light years apart. So if you're in trouble with you know, with the
Robeast or something.
Yeah, with the Robeast or with, you know, the enemies of Voltron, you should have like you have colonies that were able to that had the technology to defend themselves and just kind of didn't.
Yeah.
Like the people that I forgot what the alien's name was that taught Pidge how to get more in tune with nature, but they had super duper awesome tech that the I keep wanting to say crawl, but they're the Galra were trying to that they ended up stealing.
Yeah.
So it's like, why didn't you put that to use to make something to defend yourselves better?
Yeah.
I don't know that. If I had to nitpick, it'd be like little things like that.
Same here.
But I did dig how they closed or they would finish certain loose ends. Like I forgot all about that Galra killing monster until it showed up again, and I was like, oh yeah, they didn't finish with that because they just kind of left it open, whether it was alive or dead or what.
Yeah.
And then that showed up when they finished with what's his name that didn't trust them.
Yeah.
So I thought that was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, there were a lot of consistent elements or a lot of consistent writing where like something happens, season 2, and then they make a callback to it in season 7. You know what I mean? Like it didn't feel like anything was just done to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I dug it. Now the ending though, I do have kind of a question. I know the lions went off.
Yeah.
To the next galaxy or dimension or whatever, wherever the next threat is going to be. But did Allura come back?
No,
because there was a light that came into her lion, but it didn't go into the others.
I assumed she didn't come back because
she would have come back to them. Yeah,
yeah, she would have came back to land. Plus,
or were they saying her spirit is now part of the Blue Lion?
That's what I'm guessing.
Yeah, because it was weird. You saw like this comet type deal go straight into the lion. You see the light outside of Lance's room. Lance gets up. The others get up. But her line was the last one to leave and the only one that got hit with this light. I thought they were going to pull a Garo. Remember season 2 of Garo when you think he dies?
I still haven't watched it.
No, but I showed it to you.
Oh.
Remember? And she turned the chick, Mika... What's her last name? Hiji, the chick that plays his love interest. The whole last 3 episodes, she's like depressed and shit. Or last 2 episodes, she's depressed because Koga dies, or you believe he dies, and then this light comes back, and she runs to the place they first met, the park they used to hang out, and then she turns around and looks at the light and smiles. It's like the best smile I've ever seen, and they pause right on that moment, so you don't know if he's alive. And then the next thing that you see is the next movie or thing that features his character was a movie. It was The Tears of the Blue Dragon. It was the one where he doesn't turn into Garo until the way end of the series or end of the movie. And then the next season was the first season of the one with. I think his name is... No, it's not Raizo. It's Ryuga, I think his name is. The half black, half gold Garo suit.
I've seen it, but...
it was subtitled "The One Who Shines Through the Darkness." So yeah, you didn't see Koga for 3 or 4 seasons. And then all of a sudden, way down the road, he pops back up. I was like, shit. I think he pops back up after the season where his son is wearing the armor.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, God, they really they let you believe. I love that show, man. I need to go back and do a slight retrospective, even though it did kind of go off the rails towards after there were a couple movies, and then there was a series that was the Makai Chronicles or some shit like that, and it was weird. One of the villains was the guy who plays Decade. And there were all these characters you've seen from Super Sentai and fucking Kamen Rider that would just pop. I mean, and they kind of do that anyway, but they were people who just finished a stint on a show pop up in this show as the villain and stuff. And the focus was always on some, I don't know, something. I mean, the show is about strange shit. So it was weird. And then they never really brought it back to the cool shit that was happening in the first 2 or 3 seasons. It was just little bits and pieces. Anyway, but yeah, I'm sure people are gonna they'll have something to say about the episodes that stood out to them when it comes to Garo and shit. But yeah, that show, man, I gotta get back immersed in that shit. But yeah, Voltron was dope. It was well done in just about every arena. The art, the animation, they really did a good job with those still images. Sometimes they would like kind of show you something happening, and they wouldn't use a shitload of animation. It would just be layers, and it would be like the layers are slightly moving, like that slow parallaxing, and it was dope. It worked. It didn't feel like Speed Racer, where it would be like the one frame, and they would just like one time it'd be to the left, then the next time they just reverse the angle and it'd be to the right, and it'd be a talking head. Like no, they didn't do that. They gave you a good enough image that conveyed all the things, and then they added just a little bit of motion so you weren't bored looking at that image. I don't know, the art direction was superb. And I mean, when you got Lauren Montgomery and fucking Joaquim Dos Santos and a whole bunch of other guys that worked on a lot of the shit that we love, stuff like, like Avatar, like Justice League Unlimited, like the past, the He-Man series I was talking about. It's like a lot of the same people. So you kind of know you're going to get a certain level of quality from these guys. So if you've watched a whole bunch of reviews about the show, ignore most of them. You could even ignore this one and just watch for yourself and see if you get what we're talking about, or see if you understand, you feel the same way we do about the level of quality that the show has. I mean, the effects are amazing. The animation, once stuff starts, gets going, the animation is nuts. I mean, it's not like Ufotable level, because no one is on Ufotable's level, but
I can't wait for them to do a movie or something.
Yeah, they have. That's what I was telling you. Heaven's Feel is a series of movies.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like 3 movies, and the first one is out. It's on, I think Anime 9 has it, and yeah, but yeah, the animation, once they start, really going, it's dope. And like the character details and designs and the consistency of the characters from season to season. I mean, across 8 seasons, and there's none of that inconsistency. Even Lance, who I expected to be super inconsistent, he was getting more mature as the seasons went on because everyone around him was maturing. So he kind of had to. Hunk, you totally get what kind of character he is. And I loved how at the end of the series, you totally get that he's not straight up a pacifist, but he would prefer not to be fighting.
Yeah.
He's fighting because he has to fight. He's not fighting because he wants to, which is dope, because he would prefer to take a nonviolent approach to a lot of the situations that they get into. And you see that. It doesn't always feel like he's just the big gruff dude like he was in the original show. Yeah. But I really dug how at the end of the series, when they show each character and what they did, the main Voltron characters like Keith and Pidge and all of them, they all looked more like the classic counterparts because they were older. Because if you think about it, we meet them when they're all much younger.
Yeah.
We meet them in the start of the season. They're all teenagers except for Shiro.
Shiro, yeah. And then Lance ages. I mean, not Lance. Keith ages significantly because of that one mission where he was with his mom. And
he was gone for years.
Space time.
Yeah, so like it was really cool that they consistently kept that going. Like the age, they didn't forget just for the sake of the story and stuff. So or for the sake of some other piece of the story, because that's what seems to happen on a lot of other shows. But or they just ignore age altogether.
Yeah.
So and I was nice. It was happy. It was cool that they did not do one of those time jumps where 2 episodes ago they were 16. 2 episodes later they're like 40. You're like, the fuck? Like, what happened? What did we miss? And then they only give you a small glimpse into what might have happened over the, 20, 30 years that passed. You know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't do any of that shit. And it's space travel, so time is flying because that's how it affects us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they were consistent.
Yeah, none of the character progression felt, it never felt generic or something that you've seen before. Like, even with Keith, who it seemed like it was going to be cliche because he's kind of like rebel without a cause.
Yeah.
And but he has leadership tendencies, and he eventually gets to that leadership level, but it didn't play out the way it usually does in these kinds of shows.
Yeah.
It actually kept it fresh.
Yeah.
Which was actually, just a testament to their storytelling.
Yeah.
How well it is. Hunk is the heart of the team, and I even dug Pidge. I love that. Once again, they had a filler episode where they actually showed footage of the old show.
Yep.
And they found a way to work it into the episode.
She was even wearing cheesy. She was wearing the whole getup and everything. I was like, wow.
Yeah, I was like, damn, this is actually slick.
Yeah.
They did a good job. It doesn't feel generic or contrived or anything. Yep. It felt organic.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta give them props. Every character felt like a unique individual onto themselves, and nobody felt, nothing felt generic. And it's kind of hard to say that in today's, with today's shows, because a lot of shit. I just brought up She-Ra. It's like all the awesome writing is completely sabotaged by that terrible style. Like, the same style can't be used for everything.
Yeah, I watched all of She-Ra. And
I didn't. I only watched the first. I watched the first 2 or 3 episodes, and then I have been meaning to go back to see the rest. But I was just like, I'm not.
It feels like Avatar, but for a younger audience. But if you're a parent watching it with your kids, you could still watch it.
Yeah.
One of my favorite characters though on there is Entraptra.
Really?
Yeah, because she doesn't she starts off a good guy, but then something happens and she ends up on the bad guy side, but not because she wants to be bad. It's just for her, it's all about science, and it's all about figuring out how this old technology works.
And she can get her hands on the most of it if she
she's just trying to figure out how it works, and it doesn't. The ends don't justify the means to her. It's just her. It's just all about the means. It's all about her trying to figure this out. So I guess she's a villain by proxy or by association, but not because she's an actual villain. She doesn't wish ill will on anybody. She's just, she even was like, something was happening to She-Ra, and she was like, well, I'll have to dissect you to figure it out. And it wasn't because she wanted to kill her. She just wanted to figure it out because she's a scientist through and through.
Well, so it sounds like what they did with, what's the other show that they had? Everybody was like a very specific archetype. God, I lost my train of thought. I hate when that happens. They essentially they do it a lot with newer shows where instead of making them a generic archetype, they find one hook and then they try to keep them on that hook. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like Pidge was all about science, so everything kind of hinged on her being able to understand and create things that are, have a scientific basis. She-Ra and Keith were all about She-Ra was about doing what's necessary to save the team. Then Keith developed the same perspective because of his respect for She-Ra, except he was more gruff about it. Yeah. He didn't care.
It wasn't until he got with the Blade of Marmora that he really buckled down.
Well, and then also he embraced his Galra heritage. Yeah. So he was extremely direct to the point where it was almost like he was being an asshole, but you got it. You understood. He doesn't care how you take the message. He just wants you to get the message. And usually the message is positive. It's not always negative. But yeah, I see what you're, with her. I don't know. What I got from it is that the stories would all come across with She-Ra, of course, because now we're moving on to talking a little bit about She-Ra. The stories would feel different and they would hit differently if the show looked different.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And it feels because the same information would have more impact if they looked more mature. The style is too cartoony and too whimsical.
And too Steven Universe.
Yeah, it doesn't fit the tone of what we're looking at. Catra looks stupid. The more I look at her, I'm I'm supposed to be they're called the Evil Horde, and they look so cuddly and cute. Yeah. Everybody looks so soft and nice, and I'm you're called the Evil Horde. And they make references to that, but there's no difference.
Yeah. Bo is you're what did you expect? You're the Evil Horde. She was they call us that? That was actually funny.
Yeah, it was funny.
But then you look at the landscape that they live in. It's like, how do you not know you're evil?
Yeah.
Like you live in like the world of just everything just looks jacked up.
Mordor.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mordor.
Yeah, they do.
They live in like the technological version of Mordor. Yeah, I don't know. Just that style, man. The style, you can like the style on its own, but it doesn't fit here, you know? And I'm not even trying to bandwagon. It just doesn't fit. If the show looked like Avatar, I'd be like, yep, hands, thumbs up, 100 thumbs up. Because then I can take the story seriously and I can I could feel the feels that they're trying to get me to feel because I understand them as characters and they feel fully realized and they don't feel like it's some kind of riff on the original. But just looking at that art, it's just not, It's like when you see somebody develop a tag in graffiti that is like a throwback to someone that's way better, and that person doesn't have the skills to emulate the guy that they're trying to emulate, and they do it anyway, and you're like, ugh. Like, you need to practice more before you put that up because it's going to stay there until somebody tags over that shit. Or like when you look at certain characters, like a Superman comic drawn by like a traditionally action-based comic book drawn by someone who does very painterly still images. Like Jay Lee books typically don't. Jay Lee doesn't do action very well. He does atmosphere really well. So when you read a book where there's a ton of action, it's not going to look that great. But when they're standing there talking to each other and he sets the scene, it's going to look amazing. So having him do Spider-Man is a no-no. You know what I mean? Having him do Superman and Batman, it's a no-no if it's an action-heavy story. If it's more of a perspective-heavy story, then you're going to need someone with that kind of an art style, you know? And, I've said it before, the art, every story, you can't fit every story with every art style. There are specific styles that work for specific, stories. Just like directors, Essentially, that's the same thing. Your art director needs to fit, they need to have a style or be able to utilize a style that fits whatever the project is. Someone would
argue with you about Steven Universe, but I don't watch the show, so I couldn't say.
No, and I know I have watched it. But they tackle it in a roundabout kind of way. They don't tackle it head on, so immediately. Like we would know, because we look at things a little bit deeper. Mm-hmm. But they tackle it in a way where it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's not subversive, but it's kind of like under the surface. It's subtle. Mm. In some ways. Other ways, the character embodies the thing that the subject is. Mm-hmm. So it's like there's no way you don't get it, know? So all the gay and trans things that they try to throw in there, like it's obvious when you see the characters that are the focus of whatever episode that is. So it's not like, I don't know. It's not like Adventure Time where Adventure Time would get dark and the characters going through the situation are not necessarily the dark characters, quote unquote, and then even some of the dark characters, they have some of those situations too, and then you're like, damn, they were never presented like this, but the situation they're going through, you're like, okay.
Yeah, I never watched that either.
Because I work with kids, so I always end up sitting with them and watching some of this stuff. I mean, whether I like it or not, but yeah, I got a small sampling of that stuff. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm still going to finish it because I want to see how it all plays into the grand scheme of things. But I have a feeling that they're not going to mention He-Man. I could already tell based on the look, or do they?
No, I don't think so because I don't think they're going to because the way they explain it, they say that...
I mean, based on what you said you watched the whole thing.
Yeah. They say that... Because they're not even on the same planet. It's like... It sounds similar to Eternia, like the
Etheria,
name. Yeah. But they also say, like, this tech or whatever came from, like, that area, but this is, like, thousands and thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
So
that's
He-Man
the problem.
you know of is no longer around.
They divorced it from the Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, so you're never going to have He-Man guest star or whatever.
Yeah, they needed to make it where it's possible that this could be happening at the same time as, because they're twins.
Yeah.
So relatively around the same time.
They say she's a reincarnation of She-Ra.
Oh, of the original one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this could be a whole nother one. But I mean, wouldn't her twin brother be reincarnated too? You know what I mean? Like if it's that kind of situation. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like even the action falls flat based on the style. You know, like that first action sequence, if it was done in the style of even the Murakami Bruce Timm style, it would have looked better. But seeing it in the style that they gave it to us in, it just was weak. You know what I'm talking about? When she put the sword in the ground and it blew up all the stuff. It was like the impact was so ridiculous. You're like, man, if this was done by the guys who do Voltron, you know, directed by Joaquim Dos Santos or one of those other guys, it would have been amazing. But this crew, no. I mean, keep the voice talent, keep the writers. I don't care, but your director and then your art director and team needs to be different because that hipster shit is not working. It doesn't work for everything. I don't know. That's my opinion on that. I don't know if I mean, I already see that.
It's kind of weird because sometimes I get the feeling that the show doesn't exactly know what it wants to be. Does it want to be an action-oriented show, or does it want to be a show?
It's the plight of those hipster producers. They want to fit in, but they don't want to fit in. You know what I mean? And it's like, but you're tackling a show that fits in a specific genre, which means you need to go research all the things that made that thing popular and see what you can do to make it still fit in the genre, but still have elements of, you know, more updated things within that space. You know what I mean?
It seems like the show always falls short in some way.
Yeah,
because like Voltron, it's obviously it's an action show because of the origins and its ties to Sentai, but it has a very deep and involved story. And like She-Ra, it wants to be an action show, but it wants to have a somewhat of a. It's not as deep as Voltron, but it is an involved storyline. Yeah. But it never goes to the same. It never gets to that same intensity that that or the tone that Voltron does. It always falls short.
And it seems like it can't get to that point.
And it wants to stay more closer to the realm of comedy more than anything. At least to me, anyway. Because you know, some of the characters are straight up are kind of there just to be there to be funny. Like Bo is kind of there. Like he'll have his moments where, you know, he'll say something uplifting or say something that makes sense to both of them. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, he'll be the one to kind of break up tension in the episode with some funny banter or a joke. Or there's when they're on their quest to bring back the princesses of power or whatever, because they all kind of separated and are doing their own things. One of them is a straight up, like the one that lives in the water realm. She's like a straight up valley girl. Like her mentality is just like, it's, you know, like you'd expect her to be like whatever with her fingers making the W and all that. Yeah. So you know you have those kinds of character archetypes in there, and it all feels comedic with. But do you see how like, kind of serious undertone?
Like if it was done by the Mike Young Productions folk or the, you know, Lauren Montgomery and them, instead of just you put the Valley Girl, it's an outdated archetype. Yeah. And you put it on a fantasy character that doesn't live on Earth. So literally all you did was...
it's more like her attitude, like she comes off like, oh, I just don't care. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, or this is boring, or this is stupid, or I'm easily annoyed by this. Mm-hmm. It's that kind of thing, but then her voice is like that of a.
That's what I'm saying. Like the art. It'd be like if Jubilee existed on you know, Etheria, where they don't have malls and they don't have all those things. So the archetype kind of doesn't fit. But if the people who did Voltron did it, they'd find a way to make it fit in the world that they created. Yeah. It wouldn't just be, hey, she's like you easily. I get what you're saying, and I can visualize it in everything. I can hear a voice that sounds like a Valley Girl, and I know exactly the timbre of the voice, the whole nine. I know exactly what it's going to sound like. But like on Voltron, those things still existed, but they found a way to like tailor it to fit within this world that's not our world. You know what I mean? And that's the extra step that these hipster guys don't have. They don't get how to make these things uniquely fit within the world that they're trying to make us privy to by watching their work. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, just from the beginnings of the first couple episodes, that's how it felt. I did like the stuff that when they went into the castle, and there was that weird geometrical AI thing that was talking to them. I like how that thing spoke. I like how that thing, it felt alien. Yeah. But
they actually revisit that again later on in the season with I think her name's Diana. I forgot what She-Ra's like human name is, but her and Catra end up in there.
Her name is Adora.
Adora, yeah, that's right. I should know that. My niece's name is Adora. But they go back in there, and it sends them on this pretty much this existential quest of realization between the both of them. Yeah. Because they're also kind of airing out their differences. Like it's kind of weird because that was one of the things that bothered me about the show. Because Catra wants Adora to come back. But I'm like, but what is keeping you from staying there in the evil horde? Because it's not like the two main people, Hordak doesn't really give a fuck about you, and neither does I forgot what the other Shadow Weaver doesn't. She definitely doesn't care about you, and so why are you still there? Why not just go off with her? And they
wait till you watch the video essays on that shit.
They allude to her not wanting to be in Adora's shadow and not wanting Adora. She doesn't want Adora to always be saving her.
She wants her own. She wants validation.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And you find all that out in that episode because they'll take you through these flashbacks and
you found that from the first episode because she was just pissed at the fact that all the attention was on Adora. There's like
I'm saying they explain it like completely in this episode, like near the end of the series. I think it's like maybe the last episode. But it.
Could you imagine if it had started out with there's when they were young, like the beginning of the series starts with, Catra and Adora and the Horde, the ones that will grow up to be like the ones that we recognize, like fucking the Scorpion chick. What is her name? Scorpina or some shit like that.
She's actually funny in the show.
She was funny back in the day too, but her freaking
because she's a princess too, apparently.
You know what I'm saying? Grizzlor, all those characters. I don't even know if Grizzlor is in this one.
Yeah, he is. But he looks kind of stupid.
But, imagine if the guys that the freaking Leech and all of them, if they all are young, and you see when Hordak, his people find them as youth. Yeah. And then the beginning of the series is you seeing how they all interact with one another, and you see the seeds of the personality that's going to develop into the evil Horde dude when they grow up. And you get to see where it came from and why it developed the way it did. And then they jump to, the present or the future, I guess. And you see that fully formed, like a newer version or a more fully realized version of that fully realized character. That'd be better than making everybody younger. It's like every character's younger except for Angelica, who is now, is that her name? Angelica or Angela? The angel-looking chick that's Glitter's mom.
Oh, yeah. She's, like, immortal, so...
Yeah, but they made her older than the others. And I'm like... Because she's the mom, and the others are younger. The others are all around the same age as, like, Glitter in them. Or Glimmer.
Well, yeah, because Glimmer and all of them, they're the princesses.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, but back in the day, they were all adults. I mean, there was slightly different ages.
Yeah, I honestly didn't watch She-Ra as much.
No. I didn't watch She-Ra, like, I shouldn't say I didn't. I watched it, but I didn't watch it like I did He-Man. But I read the comics, and in the He-Man comics, they didn't really make, well, in the early 2000s, they didn't make any qualms about digging into She-Ra's lore and digging into He-Man's lore. They kind of just treated them as it's the same thing. So they didn't draw She-Ra in a way that didn't look like she was a badass. Yeah. So that when she did show up in a He-Man story, she looked like she belonged. I mean, she's supposed to look like a Valkyrie, So they kind of elaborated on that. But they also elaborated on all the villains. So, like, because Hordak is part of the story, because Hordak helped train Skeletor. So for them to give you both of those stories, they have to give you a little bit of that. This new one completely
do any of that.
Cuts that shit out,
Yeah.
and I was like, why? You know, like you could easily. I don't know. I mean, I get it, and I don't want to keep beating it into the ground, but it just feels like the part of the team is not the right team for this story. And there are elements that work, and you know, at least as far as I got, I think I'm on episode 4. I saw the one where the first episode where they kind of give you the glimpse of what She-Ra will be like. Then I saw the second episode where what happened in the second episode? God, it was also like no, because like I came away from it like nothing about my perspective on this changed. It's like it's more of what I
almost
thought it was
didn't
going to be.
stick with it until like later episodes. I kind of just because at the beginning it was kind of a slog to me.
Yeah,
and then as it went on, I started to get into it a little bit more. I don't know if I'll watch the second season though because I don't feel like I'm that interested.
Yeah.
Even with the way they ended the last episode.
Okay. If they have a change of team, which they probably won't, because these budgets are very, they have these strict budgets and stuff, so they have to do what they have to do. But yeah, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. You should watch on Adi Shankar's YouTube page. He has this pitch show where people in the industry pitch ideas that they want to work on.
Uh-huh.
And Jay Oliva, the dude who directed, you know who he is, he pitched his version of Masters of the Universe.
Uh-huh.
Man, I hope he gets to do it. I really hope he gets to do it. Because it would be dope.
Yeah, I kind of want to see them do the Devil May Cry, because I think that's what Adi Shankar wants to do as well.
Uh-huh.
That'd be kind of interesting. But at the same time, I just don't care about Devil May Cry no more.
Yeah, me neither. That ship has sailed.
Yeah, so even if they do it, I'm just over Dante. If it was Dante, I'd be like, all right. Yeah, because that's how they changed the A to an O. The people that hate Dante.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because
where did this come from?
I saw it one day. I was reading some comments. For the new Devil May Cry game, and people are going back and forth about Dante and Dante.
Dante.
Wow. I just call it, it's probably Dante, but I emphasize it because they changed the A to an O, so it spells Donte.
That's so wrong.
I know, and it's not bad.
They don't like the new Devil May Cry?
They don't like, no, they don't like DMC Devil May Cry.
His name was spelled with an O?
No, it was spelled like the regular,
okay.
but haters,
the fans were doing that.
Hater fans spell it that way because they don't want to see hide nor hair of that character ever again. Even though, if you look at the aesthetic of this new game, they were easily influenced by what Ninja Theory did.
Yeah,
and the thing that kills me is they blame Ninja Theory, but they really should be blaming Capcom because Capcom pushed them to go to those extremes. They even wanted it because they show like a lot of their work that they did, the preliminary artwork and whatnot, and they tell you like we presented this to Capcom, and Capcom was like, no, take this further,
take it further away,
take it further away, far away from what they originally did as possible, and I don't think the fans knew that, and obviously Ninja Theory at the time,
a lot of people don't read,
didn't. Yeah, and plus,
there's not a lot of YouTube videos that break it down. Like that.
and in a way, I kind of blame. Well, no, I won't say Ninja Theory is not going to sit there and try to put the blame on Capcom because Capcom's obviously paying them to make the game.
Yeah,
but just the whole situation with what's his name, the director, and
Tamim,
and his replies should have been handled better.
I don't remember his replies.
Like he and one of the people from Capcom had said something about the fan base needs to basically grow up, and they took that and the fan base obviously went livid after that, and that
because the fan base feels this is another problem is that you can't have a realistic criticism of the quote unquote patrons. Like I noticed it with G.I. Joe. How many of us said G.I. Joe just needs to let it rest, let it be done, stop trying to resurrect it because they're never making the right strides.
Yeah.
And no, you're just a hater, blah, blah, blah. No, just because you like a thing doesn't mean that that thing needs to exist in every single time period. It can be a thing that was awesome from a time long ago, and it's done. You see everybody else is taking the torch of G.I. Joe and doing a better job than Hasbro because they don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And they're only going to give a fuck when the series as a property starts bringing in Star Wars money.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We're being honest.
Yeah.
You look at Star Wars Black figures, the Black Series figures. Look at the paint jobs on those, and then look at the paint jobs on Marvel Legends. Look at the sculpt work on each fucking... Like, the only reused parts are on Stormtroopers. And then everyone else is a unique sculpt.
Yeah.
But then you look at all of Marvel Legends, and they're all reused parts. So it's like, except for the movie stuff, which Marvel movies make bank. So, like, they're going where the money is. And until they make a good G.I. Joe movie, we are not going to get good figures. But the fan base refuses to hear this. They want to beat you over the head to the point where they're giving props to really poorly done comics. Like, I can't... That's another fan base that, like, as much as I love talking to Joe fans that get it, when I have to talk to the Joe fans that don't get it, it hurts my heart. For real. It's hard because it's like you essentially just want anything that says G.I. Joe on it. And that's all you need. That's all you want. You don't really want a quality story. You just want to see G.I. Joe in the limelight. And that's the same thing you got with these Devil May Cry fans, you know? They want to see the white dude
Dante
with the white hair talking like a Ninja Turtle in 2018.
Yeah, pretty much.
And they don't care if, you know, if the whole story is terrible. They don't even care if there is a story. Just as long as he exists and he looks like what they remember and you can fight stuff, they're cool. And, I mean, some of us want more than that.
And people try to complain about the gameplay, and I'm just like, wait a minute. They had people from Capcom work on that. So essentially, the same people that worked on the previous Devil May Cry games also worked on DMC. Mm-hmm. You know, Capcom brought them in specifically to work on the gameplay. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't seem like it to me it felt similar to the old games. Mm-hmm. Maybe the grading system was more towards casual.
It was lenient.
It was easy. But then again, I watched the new stuff, and dude was doing like very basic stuff and was getting triple S's. So I'm like, why aren't you guys complaining about that now?
Someone probably is.
It's the same. I mean, I never saw anybody. The only thing I saw was people complaining that the guy sucked.
Of course.
But they never complained.
Of course. When did we not see that?
They never complained about how the grading system was giving this guy triple S's for basic combos.
Yeah.
Stringing basic crap together.
Yeah.
So I was like, you got, like, I mean, obviously I know there's always going to be a double standard with these kinds of fans.
Yeah.
But it's so annoying when you see it and nobody's calling it for what it is. Mm-hmm. And obviously nobody wants to acknowledge that that's the case. Yeah. That just, I don't know, it's a peeve of mine. I just cannot stand. You know, I could sit there and say something, but it's YouTube. So in 2 minutes, my comment's going to be like on the bottom of the damn page because everybody's saying something. Yeah. So it's kind of pointless.
It's kind of why I don't do game content anymore. Because, like, what you have right now is a culture of people that follow, people chasing trends, and they follow, they bandwagon, essentially, you know, and like, there's no reason why we should be backing Street Fighter in 2018. The game is not good. It's not good. Looking at the matches kind of shows you what's missing from the game. It's slow. The combos don't look as, like, it just doesn't have that intensity that the old games used to have. You know what I mean? It's the color, like some of the designs. Like, did you see the Bison figure that the Storm is releasing? That's like the arcade edition version with the big gold thing on his shoulders.
Yeah.
Like, it looks terrible.
Kage looks dumb.
Oh my god. Yeah, now Ryu is Kage.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, because you couldn't come up with anything better.
They can't just call him Evil Ryu?
No, or couldn't they have just come up with another character? He's still wrestling with this nonsense? There's zero growth. And supposedly this game takes place between one of the other ones,
between
right?
Between 2 and 3?
No, it's like between...
Yeah, because
between 2 and 3.
What's her name with her and her brother, and Sean's a kid.
Yeah, so it's between 2 and 3. And Ryu is Kage? Like, what?
And none of his costumes or anything look
It's just dumb.
It just looked very generic.
It's literally like they're making Street Fighter to appeal to the same fans who like Dragon Ball. And I feel like the folks at Arc Systems working on Dragon Ball Z Fighters or whatever, they're trying to make their game appeal to the cats that liked Guilty Gear and liked Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But Street Fighter had its own little, because there were the groups. There was the group that liked the Versus games, and then there were the group that liked the old school chess game Street Fighter games. Because they were crazy, but not as nearly as crazy as the Versus games. Now, Street Fighter straddles the fence between the kind of like ridiculous damage output and combo possibilities that you had in the Versus games, because they're biting off of anime characters and shit like that don't necessarily fit within Street Fighter's framework. And the fans don't... All they complain about is that this character is OP, because that's a character they don't like. You know what I mean? And somebody who wasn't that great beat their ass with that character. That's literally all you get. So there's constantly this rebalancing in order to appease the fans. But if you look at how the game is presented to people, it's like the game launched with no arcade mode.
Yeah.
What? And people bought it and still backed it and still said it's great. It's great. The character designs look weird.
Everything's piecemeal to you.
It's just
starting for characters. Like it. Now you want to talk about things hurting your heart.
Tekken.
When Tekken released their second season, and they started charging for like Anna and Law and Armor King, and I was like, damn it! I don't think it's Harada. I think it's Namco.
It is. He said that's him. That's them. He said that it's he
Namco.
Didn't want it. Namco.
Yeah, because he always said he never wanted to charge for characters that are in the game.
Yeah.
Just for extra content.
Yeah, like you got to pay for Lei Wulong.
Yeah. That's been in the game since Tekken 2.
Yeah, no. You shouldn't be paying for that shit.
Anna and Armor King, been in the game since the first
Tekken. It's just fighting games in general. The ones that deserve the attention aren't getting it. Like Dragon Ball Z Fighters, I'm not even a Dragon Ball fan, and I feel like the tide should have shifted where they are the number one. Because they literally gave us what, as fighting game fans, not Dragon Ball fans, just fighting game fans, they gave us a variety of characters that fit a variety of play styles, and they gave us a game that has intensity, that feels like what we used to play. It's like when you think back to playing Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and 2, and even maybe when 3 first came out, you think about those intense battles, you know, big-ass explosions, moves to take up half the damn screen or sometimes the whole screen, freaking crazy speed and teleports and all the shit that's a staple of Dragon Ball, essentially.
Yeah.
Except they were with Capcom characters and Marvel characters, which normally you don't see that. Yeah. That's why it stood out.
That and they upped the fighting game mechanics. I mean, you always had that with the Budokai games and all that, but they were always like simpler. Like this is way more complex.
Well, no, this is more of, how do I put this? Like Budokai in those games, it was simple in the sense that it was moved to a 3-dimensional realm. So you couldn't do the kind of combos you could do in the 2-dimensional realm. Now they went back to the 2D realm, so rush downs and air combos and ground to air chains and then, you know, cancels and blah blah blah. All that shit now came back.
Yeah.
Which that stuff is synonymous with 2D fighters, you know what I mean? You didn't have that shit in Budokai or Tenkaichi or any of those other ones. But it's specific to 2D, especially Capcom fighting games. And then maybe Arc Systems, because they straight jacked Capcom's whole crazy versus game aesthetic, except they added it into a more Street Fighter feeling game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's strange. But my point was, the wrong games get all the attention, and they shouldn't. It seems like games that aren't really giving you what you should get as a consumer or as a fan, they get the attention simply because they've been there for a long time, and you have these new brand fans that jumped on board because their older brother used to play a game, you know, that was actually dope back in the day.
Or all their friends are playing it now.
Yeah,
that's
so
the thing to do.
That's what everybody's playing right now.
Yeah, filthy casuals.
Everyone's playing right now. That's what they have to play it. Now, I remember hearing that when I used to work at GameStop. Everybody plays this, so I have to play it. No, you don't. Play the game you like to play. You don't have to wait for your friends to do it. You can make new friends that play another game. Why is that so foreign to people? But it's the way it works. I mean, it's not like it was for us growing up, you know?
Yeah.
So I that's why I can't really get behind any particular game and talk about the game at length anymore, because it's just like I enjoy it for different reasons, and a lot of this shit that's out I don't enjoy. And I feel, and I've told you before, and I say it all the time, this is my last console generation. I'm not buying another console. I'm going to go back and fucking emulate the shit out of old games.
Yeah. I mean, part of me doesn't want to give up on video games, so
I'm not getting on board with new stuff.
It has to be game-changing in a way that we have never seen it before. And I know it won't be, but that's the only way it would pull me back in, is if it was.
We both know it's not going to be. It's going to be more expensive, and you're going to get less. Because that's the way it is. They're going to piecemeal more out to you. You're going to get so much less, and you're going to have to buy a new TV to go with the new system, because there's going to be a new format. The games are going to be on some shittier, because it looks like now everything is moving towards fully digital without the actual, physical copy. So you're going to have to download everything. You're not going to have ample space. You're going to have to buy an add-on. And it's just going to be ridiculous. And I don't want to even deal with it. It's not fun.
I may end up building a PC.
Yeah.
And just buying gotta forget what company it is. It's not Scruff or Scuzzy or whatever the fuck. There's this other company that makes controllers, and they make PS4 controllers, but you can also use them on PC. I may just end up getting one of those.
Yeah, because right now
switching over to PC.
I'm telling you, like, I've played games on both, but I'm just saying, like, the console market I used to stick with because they had the games I wanted to play.
And not all the console games come to PC.
Exactly, and on top of that, like, there's only a few games that stick with their companies. There's like rival games that are like almost the mascots for those companies, and it's only a handful now. It's not like before where like Sony had a shitload that were theirs, and they never showed up on the Xbox, and then Xbox had a bunch that were theirs. Nah, now it's like there's like 3 or 4 that are specific to each, and it's just dumb.
Like on Sony, I can only think of Sucker Punch right now.
Sucker Punch and Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
And even Naughty Dog, I think. No, Sucker Punch and Naughty Dog, yeah. Because Metal Gear comes out on everything, and they're not going to do any more Metal Gears for a while.
That shit ain't coming back.
There's nothing. I don't know. It's just different. I miss playing, like, when I get a system, I got a system because it does things differently from the other systems. And, like, I can see what the difference is, When I was playing, back in the day, the first Uncharted, my friends who had Xboxes would come over and watch me play Uncharted and be like, fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they actually wanted to play it.
Yeah. And it's weird how there's so many people I know that have Xboxes, and I'm just like, why? Because all the things you guys have, I have.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to do the whole console war thing.
There is no console war.
But face it, Sony had the better exclusives this console generation.
Yeah.
Like, hands down.
Yeah.
Halo 5 was just meh. Gears of War was just meh.
I know.
And that's literally about it. Yeah. Like, everything else,
Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah. Was that on the Xbox One?
Only Xbox, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought that was, for some reason I thought that was on the 360. Oh, yeah. Sunset Overdrive was awesome. But that was Insomniac. And now they're doing Spider-Man for the PS4, so, I don't know.
God of War. I remember playing God of War 1, 2, 3, and now the new one. It's like, I haven't played the new one, but like seeing it, it's like, how could you see that and not be swayed?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make any sense. So like when people say there's a console war, it's not a war. It's literally like,
the war's over, son.
Yeah, like, do you like this or do you like that? And
it's not a war when one side's winning.
Yeah, completely. It's not even a competition. But I will say that, like, it seems like the quality of a lot of things is better on the Xbox because they've had longer time to put more money to like their online stuff, you know. Whereas Sony, I don't get it. When it was free, I had no problems. I still have no problems playing my PS3. Every time I put on my PS4, I've got an issue. Connecting to the very same internet in literally my PS2, 3, and 4 are sitting right next to each other. And if I switch to the PS3, I can get online with no problem. Switch to the PS4, it's always issues. Always. I mean, you've played with me. That's why I haven't been playing Wildlands often. Because whenever I start playing, it'll either kick you off or I can't get on.
Yeah, that was a problem with my modem, though. I think I figured it out because the last couple of times I've played...
today we were going to play anyway, so
I haven't gotten kicked off. Yeah. Goblin Slayer, though.
Yeah, good lord.
I watched that first episode because you know, you were telling me about it and whatnot. And
it's not...
I wasn't like as shocked as everybody said. They were shocked
because the rape is not new in anime,
and they didn't really even focus on it. They imply it. They show you just enough to let you know what's happening, and then they immediately cut away, and then and they imply, and I guess that's what's freaking everybody out because you guys apparently have never watched a horror movie.
The problem is that the fan base is so young.
Yeah, there's that.
The new fan base is so much younger,
and they haven't watched anything.
Yeah, and they still don't watch anything. Like the fan base, you have a fan base that half of it is like Berserk is the greatest thing ever. You got another half of it that's like Dragon Ball is the greatest thing ever. You got another half of it that any shonen anime from the last 5 years is the greatest thing ever. So that's Bleach, that's One Piece, that's My Hero Academia, that's Naruto. Most of them is Naruto, and it's
shonen anime and manga is never as quote unquote edgy as like stuff that like this. Like
this is dark fantasy. It's
not even to me. It's not even that dark. Like I get it. It's Dungeons and Dragons. The gods are us. Yeah, and we're rolling the dice.
Yeah,
and because after every episode, you hear the sound of dice being rolled, or you see it. They CG some dice in or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, that would have been cool, like, to me 10, 15 years ago.
But then again, I said, we're older.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's why, and that's another thing I've learned, is like the reaction that you hear with all these reaction videos to a fucking episode of an anime. Like, we're too old. We just don't, and we're not even too old literally, but it's just like we've
seen enough.
Yeah,
we've seen things.
I mean, like, you think about like all
this shit is not impressive.
It's not impressive, and like there's so many younger cats that just don't get it. They just don't understand it, and it's like I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, man. I watched a few episodes after that. I'm almost done with the season.
How long is it?
I think it's like 12, 13 episodes.
Okay.
I think I'm like on episode 8 or 9, and like
everything was obvious.
So, yeah. I mean, none of it was story wise and plot wise. It all feels familiar to me.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that impressed me was they had an episode where Goblin Slayer got, because you never find out any of these people's actual names.
Mm-hmm.
Goblin Slayer got summoned to this city by, it turned out to be the Archbishop of the, not the wizards or the witches, but the people the support characters that cast like healing and
Major.
Light and all that. And it turns out she's the person that fought the demon lord king whatever back in the day and beat him, and with another group, with a band of people.
Mm-hmm.
And she summons him to kill these goblins that are infiltrating the city through the sewers. And so he goes down there and he starts figuring crap out because, you know, usually in these cities, there's always giant rats and cockroaches. And there's always quests on the board in the registry for people to go fight those things and kill them. But there were none in this city. And he was like, why is that? Why? And then one of the townsfolk says, as if there'd be any of those critters in our city, because it's like a big, well-to-do off city or whatever.
The goblins all live down there.
But see, the city didn't know goblins were down there. Only she knew.
Something's eating all that shit.
Yeah. Well, what it was this giant albino alligator that was feeding on everything down there because they were fighting goblins because this is like a canal city with waterways and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So these goblins learned how to sail boats and stuff.
Wow.
And so Goblin Slayer and his crew, they're fighting them. They destroy one ship and all the goblins on it. and then another ship comes, and this albino alligator shows up. So they cast light on the alligator's tail because goblins are trained to go after light, like sources of light, because they're always in caves and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And the sources of light are always people holding torches and whatnot. So they go after that, and the alligator just destroys the ship. And you just see the alligator just, all these goblins just flying around the air. You see the alligator just jump up out of the water, just snatch one. You see him just biting another one in half. I mean, he's just going to town, and they're making their getaway. And so eventually Goblin Slayer figures out that she's trying to hide this secret from the city, and he asks her why, because he was like, that's a familiar, and he was like, that's your familiar, that alligator. And she goes into the story, because she explains to the little girl mage that in her early days of adventuring, she made a mistake and got clubbed over the head by a goblin, and they did their thing that goblins do, and ever since that they tortured her and everything, and ever since then she's had PTSD basically from that. So she even jokes about how she tells Goblin Slayer about all this, and she even jokes about how I can take on the Demon Lord King or whatever, no problem, but goblins scare the crap out of me to the point where I can't function. And this is why. And the reason why she summoned him was because she felt like something must have happened to him too. And she wanted to know why.
So
what
did they
happened.
Explain what happened to him?
Yeah, I mean, he was like, his town got raided by goblins, and he was like under the floor, and his sister... goblins got her, and
so that's what they just brutalized
everybody. For like over a day. They did this, like they did their thing, and then they did their thing till she died, and then they toyed around with her dead body after that.
Jesus Christ!
So, but they don't show any of it.
It's like
them telling
Helsing.
You.
Helsing had that same kind of thing going on. I was like, why do you guys they fridge the fuck out of women? You know what I mean? They fridge the fuck out of women, and then you have like a fan base that never gets tired of this trope, and it's like, this is
they like the gore porn.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's annoying.
But like
Helsing is terrible.
I never watched it. Helsing, it never interested me.
Yeah, man. There's a character in there who she had the same thing happen. Like these dudes break into the house. I think they kill her mom, and then they toy with her too, and she's hiding in the closet just watching the whole thing. And I'm like, see, number one. There's a point, you have this thing called fight or flight.
Yeah.
Everybody is not that's not a fart, that's my chair. I need to put some WD-40 on it, but everybody is not going to sit and watch wrongdoing be done in its entirety and not snap and try to do something. Yeah. And I get that they think that in order to write a character who can be strong now because they faced adversity in the past, you have to let the adversity play out in gruesome detail. But that's where it gets tropey, is that you keep writing characters who could have done something, and they could have a scar from the battle. You know what I mean? They could actually have, maybe they did something, but they did it too late. Yeah. And that's what bothers them.
That's the one thing I'll give Attack on Titan. Because Aaron acted almost immediately when those two thugs were trying to get at Mikasa when they were kids. Yeah. And he killed them both. Yeah. He killed them something good, so that works. But then everything else about that anime, I'm just like loading the gun and just putting it to my head because it's too much. Cluster.
Yeah, too much. It's like you can be proactive even if your character is not proactive initially. They can still be proactive and still have a hard time, you know what I mean? And still be sympathetic characters. The problem is that these writers write their sympathetic characters exactly the same fucking way. The chick I'm talking about is the sniper in Hellsing. And she just sits there in a closet and watches shit happen. And I'm like, come on, guys.
Yeah,
and
I think they did it again in God Eater, too. There was a character...
I never watched that shit. I've looked at the artwork, but I never...
I watched it because it was Ufotable that did it, so...
I forgot that Ufotable did that shit. Yeah. I'll check it out eventually.
But God Eater is so weird because... I get why people like it, because, I mean, the monster designs are cool because it's like something out of Final Fantasy. But all the characters, like the guys are all dressed in super cool clothes. the women are all dressed in scantily clad clothes, and some of them have like ginormous breasts, and I'm just like, this is, I almost don't want to watch it because I feel like you're catering to that crowd that I don't affiliate myself with, and it's a turnoff to me because they're super pretty and they're super sexualized.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it doesn't need to, I don't know. To me, it doesn't need to be that way. Obviously, it does for you guys because you've obviously made a crap ton of money off of God Eater.
Yeah.
Because you got a new game coming out next year.
Was that the third or fourth one?
The fourth one.
Yeah,
because they had God Eater 3 that came out packaged with another previous God
Yeah.
Eater.
Yeah, I've just looked at the artwork for the games. I never actually watched anything with the anime, but
yeah, I dig the concepts and I dig the weapons and stuff, but I just can't get over the way all the women look in it.
Well, yeah, presentation is important.
Yeah, like I can't take it seriously. That's the problem when one of your chicks is wearing like some Harajuku's, like scantily clad Harajuku clothing, and she's hunting monsters. Like, come on.
Yeah. Like, where's your armor?
But all the guys are wearing, like, leather jackets and trench coats with all these straps everywhere. And like it's the epitome of male power fantasy.
Yeah.
And that shit is played.
Yeah. I guess if you're 14 right now, or 12 right now, it works for you, you know? But that's what I found is, like, there's too much emphasis on catering to the youngest demographics and the things that they're trying to pass off as like edgy and awesome now. It's not. It only is edgy and it's only interesting if you're really, really young or if you still think like that.
Yeah.
And I don't think like that anymore, you know? Like when I was younger, I think I didn't even think like that when I was younger. I mean, there's some stuff I thought along those lines. Like younger me would have probably liked
but now it's honed down to a science, so you get a lot more of that. Whereas back then,
we didn't get it all the
just
time.
Experimenting and throwing stuff out there to see what stuck.
Yeah,
so we got a lot of variety to choose from. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot of anime and manga coming out now, but a lot of it is derivative.
Yeah, it's too much. Not enough of it stands out.
Yeah,
for being different and actually bringing something new to the table. And that's why, you know, just like with games.
I will say though, there's this idol anime. It's on Netflix now, but I'd seen it a while ago, and the premise is batshit. It starts off with these 3 Yakuza guys, and they're seeing their boss, and the boss is like, "You guys, basically, you fucked up, and no amount of giving up your fingers is gonna fix your fuck up." So he was like, "You guys are going to go to Thailand, and you're going to get sex changes, and you're going to become idols. and it's either that, or I'm going to kill you."
What?
Yeah. So they go to Thailand, and they get sex changes, and they become idols, and they're performing. And so you have all these people that are like, you know, because it's making fun of that entire... the entire genre and that entire industry because
holy shit,
because they have to perform and they have to do all these things that idols do, but you see like their inner thoughts because they're still dudes, and you see their inner dudes, and they're all like, "I hate this," or I don't want to do the shake hand ceremony where you got to shake all the hands of the fans. And it's like, because some of the guys' hands are sticky, and you know they were touching themselves before they came up to talk to me. This is so
wow.
Yeah, it's so jacked up.
Sounds so terrible. It sounds funny though, but it sounds fucking terrible. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, they make fun of all of that shit. So that was like that to me. That stuck out because I was like, yeah, I've never seen anything like that before.
Yeah.
In this genre.
And they probably drew the Yakuza boss with that head cocked back. He talking out the side of his mouth.
He's more like a businessman.
Oh,
because like he would sit there with his legs crossed and a cigar in his mouth. He's got this smirk on his face, like you're gonna do this or you're gonna die, or you guys didn't perform well enough. And he'll be really pissed, so he'll beat them sometimes.
Jesus. Well, yeah, I've never been big on like the more slice of life stuff. I get bored quick with that stuff. I mean, there's been a few where I was like, okay, this is okay, but in general, I only like the stuff that has like some kind of big I mean, that's a hell of a twist, but like either an action or fantasy slant to it, because it keeps my attention, especially if they if it's presented well. You know, like Gurren Lagann blew my fucking mind.
Yeah,
because I was like, damn, you know, because I thought I had seen the biggest mechs in anime already, and they just blew past that shit. And you're like, wow, like this is
throwing galaxies and shit.
Yeah, like what the fuck? You destroyed entire like you said, the galaxy fighting God essentially. Like what the hell, you know? So yeah, it's like I can't. And there's people who talk shit about that anime too, and I'm like, wow, you really have no imagination if that threatened you. I remember when I talked about Gurren Lagann in an earlier video, and I had some dude write like, I mean, he filled my fucking comments section with his reply. Then I went to listen to his to look at his page. He had some videos. None of them were very good, but they were like really overly. Like, he overcomplicated his
statement?
Well, it was like reviews of anime, but he gave these way overly convoluted, overly complicated explanations for why he had the perspective he had. But he never really, like, his criticisms didn't really, like, it always, he would say 100 billion things, and it would always come back to his preference. So it was never really like a legit, you know, they did something wrong. It's that he doesn't like that thing. But he would try to dress it up to make it sound like it was a failing on their part. And it's like, but they conveyed the message they were trying to convey.
Yeah.
And you got that. You just don't like that message. And when I tried to point this out to him, he just started picking at other things on my channel. And I'm like, hey, whatever it is I don't do right, if you can do it better, do it. Show me how it's done. And let it, you know, and we can leave it at that. Don't sit here and nitpick after you sat there and watched my whole video and you gave me 2-3 pages of your explanation for why I'm supposedly doing something wrong, and you actually make videos. He had like no subscribers either, like none. So obviously the quality is speaking for itself. And I was like, if you can do it better, by all means, just do it better instead of sitting here trying to tell me after you look through my whole library that when I talk about anime, I'm wrong because I don't say what you say. It was weird, man. He was like, I don't know, 13 or something like that. 13 or 14. And like he was young. And I was like, this is unnecessary for you to put all this here. You could have made a whole video.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what my response kind of, you know, it started with. And that was the crux of my point. I was like, you wrote 3 pages worth of information that you could have made a video as a response or showing me what it is you think I'm not doing right. But instead, you just sat here and you jerked yourself off in my comments page. You know what I mean? Like, but that kind of shit is what I just can't. I can't. Yeah. I can't. That's what kills me about the fandom. It's like with anime, it's like you're either here or you're not. You can't have a broad appreciation for it. Like, really have a broad appreciation. You can say it, because so many people say, oh, I like anime. What's your favorite? Well, there's just so many out there. No, but you have to have one that you like to watch more than any others. Not really. So you really just like the bandwagon when it comes to anime. You know what I mean? Like, because anybody who watches anime, for real, has one that you always watch. One that, like, maybe you've seen more than any other, you know, anime that you watch. I do. You know what I mean? We grew up on certain ones that was all we could get our hands on. Therefore, it was the only one we could watch for a long time, you know? I remember being in the dorms and watching we watched the shit out of Ranma. Like, I had already seen Ranma when I was growing up, and we were watching the shit out of Ranma as, like, you know, almost adults in college. Because it was just easy to get into, and I think between the bunch of us, we had most of the series. But,
yeah, it's weird. I watched... Cowboy Bebop isn't even one of my favorite animes, but I've watched it. It's one of mine, but it's not like, to me, it's not like up there for me. And I've watched that shit a lot. I watched it a lot.
It's not even in your top 5? Come on now. Because I would love to hear what your top 5 is if it's not up there.
I'd have to really think about my top 5.
What? But you know Cowboy Bebop, easily one of the best of all time. Easily. It's not up in the top 5?
I don't know if I'd put it up there.
What?
I honestly don't.
Wow. What would you say is the best anime you ever watched? You got to know. If you know that Cowboy Bebop can't be in your top 5, then you got to know what the best one is. Would you put Samurai Champloo up there?
I don't know, man. I really don't know because I think I like the storytelling in Samurai Champloo. I don't know if but I don't even know if I'd rank that. I don't know if I'd rank that higher than Cowboy Bebop either.
Wow.
I really would have to sit down and think about it.
Yeah, I don't rate them. I don't rate anime by individual pieces. I would rate it by the overall experience. And usually the quality of the visuals, the animation, the sound, all that stuff it's together. I mean, if I was gonna review it, I'm gonna break it down.
It's more like Samurai Champloo is more fun than Cowboy Bebop to me, but
but wouldn't that be important?
No, it is, but I don't.
So which one, if you were just right now, if you were to say these are the best animes these are 3 of my top of all the ones I've ever seen. These are 3 of the top anime. Which ones would you say right now? If just right now, 3 that you would definitely have on your list. They would definitely be in your top 5. But these are 3 of the best that I've ever seen. If you say Berserk, I'm going to throw you out the window.
No.
I'm going to pick you up and throw you out of this 3rd floor window.
If it was a manga, I'd be like, yeah.
Oh, the manga's, his art alone is on a different level.
Yeah, it'd be a different story, but none of the animated versions of Berserk I'd put up there either.
Yeah,
each one is lacking in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
like the first one, man, the budget.
Get your grasses on.
They need some money.
They need to get their grasses on. It's too late. It's too late.
I love that shit though, but yeah, man. They would recycle a lot of animation in that.
It was borderline like Speed Racer. I was like, God, this is terrible, man.
Yeah, and I love Susumu Hirasawa, so I love the music.
Oh yeah, but that wasn't some of his best music though. Hell no. I think some of his best shit came from Organ.
Yeah.
Organ. I love the soundtrack to that fucking thing. Organ was dope because I grew up on Tekka Man the Space Knight, so I knew exactly what it was when I saw it.
Yeah, I didn't get into tech. I didn't know about Tekka Man until.
And I'm not even talking about Techno Man. I'm talking about Tekka Man from the fucking 70s.
Yeah, see, I saw Techno Man first, and then I found out it was Tekka Man Blade, and then I found out about the Space Knight Tekka Man.
Yeah. I on a whim, we used to go to when we lived out here the first time. When I was real little, we used to go to like with my dad when like VHS was just becoming like a big thing. It makes us sound so old. Betamax, man. But like when VHSs were showing up in the store more often, my dad would be like, "Go ahead, get a cartoon or something," and we'd just pick random shit. And I saw this dude with the fucking big ass shoulder pads and the big lance, and I was like, "What is this?" I'm like, "I want this." And it had like 6 episodes on it. I want to say it was like the first 6 episodes. And I don't know, just the idea of a dude jumping inside of a robot to put on the armor and then, ride in the robot as the robot flies.
Yeah.
It was dope. I was like, shit, it's cool looking. I mean, it was really old school, like retro sci-fi.
Yeah.
The fucking weird haircuts and shit and like the weird shoulder pad things
and
looking like Flash
had
Gordon.
A rainbow on his chest.
Yeah, it was weird, but man, it was fun. And the plots were like stuff that I would start seeing in other anime. Yeah. So you'd be like, I get it now. This is one of those forefathers to those things,
Yeah.
And then of course 90s Techno Man was fucking dope.
Yeah, but man, that dub is terrible.
He said, "I'm losing my humanity, my whole humanity, every inch of my humanity." I was like, "Wow!"
I didn't realize it was that bad the first time I watched it. It wasn't until I bought it on DVD in college. And I started. I didn't even get through the first.
I think
5
I told
minutes
you
of the
about
first
that
episode. Shit. I cut that shit right off. I was gonna return it, but
I just put it in Japanese.
But there was no Japanese. That was the
that was the English one?
Yeah, it was like an ADV.
Oh, shit.
Dub.
Damn.
Back when that company was still around.
Do it now.
Yeah.
Do it now.
It was better than manga. It was like manga, and they'd always play that song by KMFDM.
Yeah,
for the trailers.
Give it to me. Yeah, man. I swear we need to do a couple more of these where we talk about like anime back in the day. Because like there's a dude I watched called the what's he called? The Happy Gamer. Is it the Happy Gamer? Happy Retro Video Gamer or something like that. I put up he was in what I was watching. God, what is he called? The Happy Video Game, is it
the Happy Video Game Nerd?
Is he called the Happy Video Game Nerd? What is he called? I watch his channel all the time. The host's name is Johnny Millennium. That's what he calls himself. And it's on purpose because let me see. Millennium. Because he likes Happy Console Gamer. He's about our age. I think he's a little older than us. He's in his 40s. But he talks about his memories growing up in the 90s, watching anime, playing video games, and how like if you were going to import something, you had to find a spot that would have access to that shit, or in the back of the video game magazines you would watch, you would get one of those like order forms, fill out the order form, mail it in. Then you had to wait forever for them to say, yes, we have that thing.
6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, just for them to tell you they had that shit. Then you had to send them a money order with the thing you wanted. Then you had to wait it was like you're waiting fucking forever to get a VHS that has one episode on it.
Huh?
You know what I mean? And
I remember when I bought one of the Tekken soundtracks, because the only time then you could only get it from Japan at the time. And it was for Tekken 3. It was one of their remix soundtracks.
Yeah, I remember.
And it took so long to get there, I forgot I bought it.
Yeah.
Because it was that long.
See, but you remember when we both moved up here, there were a couple places that strictly dealt with Japanese stuff. Yeah. So we would make these big-ass pilgrimages out to get stuff. For me, back home in Jersey, though, we used to go to Canal Street in New York to get, stuff from other countries and shit, from China and from Japan. So I get my Kung Fu movies from there, and I get video games. I remember I got Tekken 2 like a year in advance. Like a whole year in advance we had to do. That's when we learned the trick with the PS1, where you put in an American PlayStation game, and when it goes to the second screen, you have to quickly open it and put the Japanese game in and close it. So when the when the black screen with the PlayStation logo, so while it's doing that, it would boot it up because you got past the verification screen. And we were playing the shit. I was so good at Tekken 2 by the time everybody else got it. I mean, I was already good at Tekken, but I was so good at Tekken 2 by the time that it came out in the U.S. that my friends didn't want to play. They didn't want to play against me in the game because I had an unfair advantage because I had practiced,
it's
playing
like when
the
we
game.
did that Alpha 3 tournament.
Oh, yeah. That shit was terrible. See, I never did that where you hold a tournament and you have the advantage because you played the game for like ever before everyone else. Nah, that was some bullshit. Or a bunch of dudes had the game, an imported version of the game, about a year or so before it came out. And then they knew all the tricks and shit. And then they ended up winning the tournament that they held. Yeah. It was bogus. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. But that's why I stomped them all in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Yeah. There's a lot of like the way things used to be. I think that's why the appreciation is so different. Like I remember going to flea markets and going to thrift shops and then going to Canal Street to get Ranma tapes. And usually the tapes would have a mixture of shit on there. Like it'd be mostly Ranma, but then there'd be like a bunch of trailers, and then sometimes there'll be like an episode of some shit that I would never pick for myself, but then you'd like it. Like that's how I knew about Mosquiton. I had never actually bought that shit for myself, but on one of the videos that I had,
they had a trailer for it.
They had a trailer for it on Street Fighter, the 90s movie. And I was like, I've seen this before, and I had never watched it. But then when we saw it at school, I was like, wow, this is some weird shit. Or Trigun. That was on one of the Ranma tapes I had. I had a tape that had like 6 Ranma episodes, and then it had an episode of Trigun on it. And I was like, damn, this is crazy. Because, I mean, it's goofy, but the art was crazy. It was so much detail and shit. So I was like, yeah, I gotta check this out. And then I saw the figures at the comic book store. And I still had never watched the whole series. And then finally, I think I watched the series right before Toonami started playing it. You remember briefly they played it?
I never finished it.
I think I watched everything and the movie.
I watched the movie, but I never finished the series.
The movie was good.
I got up to when Wolfwood died, and I was done.
He was dope.
Yeah, I know. Because that was when you learn. That was when I personally learned that's what they do in anime when they get you to like a character just so they can
kill him off and you feel it. Yeah,
but it feels cheap because
it's
you knew they were doing it.
Yeah.
So.
Once you know, it's kind of like how we felt when we got out of college. How everything that we were taught, you see examples of people doing, like we're taught not to do some certain things in design. But then you look around you and there's people who are paid to design, I don't know, a logo or a fucking billboard, and they're doing all the no-nos of design, you know? Or in film, we learn about film, theory and techniques in film, and then you watch a movie and they literally do the things that are basic no-nos, you know, like the positioning of characters. Like if two people are talking, you can't constantly flip them around. Yeah. You need to establish one is on one side, one is on the other. One is here in the room, one is in the other part of the room, unless they're walking around while they talk. And I don't know how many films you see where it's like, to be cool and whatever, they flip the image and they do this. And Japanese films do it a lot. And you're just like, where the fuck are they, like modern Japanese cinema? Traditional Japanese cinema is boring as fuck because the camera's locked down. And it never moves and the scenes all take place in the frame. And it's just like, man. But, yeah, the ones trying to be cool. Kitamura does it sometimes and it pisses me off, even though I really like what he does. But, yeah, it's weird when you start seeing all that stuff out and about because it's like, man, you guys had the same training we had. Why do we know this and you don't, you know? So, yeah, it's strange.
Yeah.
But maybe the next one we do, maybe we can, if we can work it in before Christmas, we should do something about Kung Fu flicks. I've been meaning to do one. I've watched Skinny Tiger, Fatty Dragon like 50 times in preparation to make the video, and then every time I start making the video, something happens, and then I just don't make the video. And same thing with Once Upon a Time in Shanghai, and I meant to do that shit forever ago, and I don't know what keeps happening. I'll start it, and then I forget that I started it, and I go on to something else. So I think it's because I know YouTube is going to fuck with me about what I put on there. So I want to make it one of these where we don't have any visuals other than maybe the image, like a title card for it, and not go in that much detail. Or maybe if maybe we could do it on...
What I've been doing on my movie reviews now is, and I mean, so far I haven't been flagged for it. Granted, I'm showing trailer footage, but
do you reverse it?
No, I just have it. I have it smaller, a small section of the screen for the footage, and then I've got like a background that I'm zooming out of.
Yeah,
very, very slowly. It pretty much takes the length of the whole video.
Okay.
So far, they haven't said anything.
Huh.
So
I'm gonna have to try that.
Flag.
I will have to try that. But yeah, I think that about does it for this episode.
Yeah.
I think though, very soon, if we don't do it before Christmas, we will be doing it in the new year. We're gonna do some Kung Fu movie stuff because I noticed like that's kind of lacking on YouTube. Good quality, like people actually knowing who these guys are and knowing the history of their films and what they do, the signature. There's one guy, maybe two, but there's one guy I know for sure called King of Kung Fu, and he does these compilations with different old school fighters from different, old movies, and he shows their, like, the moves, their signature attacks, because a lot of them have, like, a combination that they always do. Like, for those of you who know, like, who watch American cinema, you'd know who Arnold Chan is. Arnold Chan is the dude who, like, he always does the 540 into a butterfly twist, or a butterfly twist into a 540, I think, and then lands it. It doesn't matter what the movie is. It could be he does that shit in Dodgeball. He like does the 540 into the butterfly twist and then throws the ball.
I wish he would start really acting because I always see him and stuff, but it's always in like the background or something.
Yeah,
I saw him in like a couple of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Yeah. I think he's just full-on stuntman. That's what it is. And then there's the other guy, the guy who played the fiendish Dr. Wu. What's his name?
Oh, I forgot his name.
He's in everything. He was in freaking King Arthur, Legend of the Sword.
Really?
Remember?
I have to go back and look at that.
I think that's him. I could be wrong. I think it's him. Or it could be... There's another dude who looks very similar, and he's another guy who you always see him with glasses and a beard, and he's in a lot of Jet Li stuff. But, God, I used to know that dude's name, too, and I forgot.
IMDb.
Yeah, he came up in the same time as, like, Russell Wong. You remember Russell Wong?
Oh, yeah, right?
Yeah.
I watched Romeo Must Die the other day.
Who? Romeo Must Die?
Yeah, because it was on HBO Go. God. That and Cradle to the Grave.
Oh, God.
I was like, oh, my God, I have to watch this.
Those movies are terrible.
It's cringeworthy now.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It was kind of not that great before. But, man, watching it now.
Seeing Jet dance with Aaliyah.
Aaliyah. Not really.
Oh.
Yeah, he may as well have been doing like the white girl shoulder dance. It wasn't very good.
He looked so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
He looked so uncomfortable.
In a way, it kind of worked because, you know, he wasn't with a chick that dope.
Yeah. Ever in his life, yeah.
Except for his wife. His wife was dope.
Yeah.
But like, yeah.
He was really nervous.
Yeah, his character, yeah.
God, that movie hurt my heart. Because I was so... There's like that trilogy of movies. There was that. The only one of the three that worked was the one.
Yeah.
Those three movies I was so geeked for. Because I hated how they treated Jet in the U.S. stemming from Lethal Weapon 4. Because it was like, that's not... Like, as skilled as he is, because we had seen him in all the Once Upon a Time in China movies.
Yeah,
My Father was a Hero. Freaking High Risk.
Yeah.
Freaking, what was that other one? The Bodyguard. It's called The Bodyguard from Beijing.
Yeah. Hitman.
Hitman, yeah. God, that movie.
I love that movie.
Yeah, I did too. I like the fights in it. But we had seen him in so much stuff. And then we see him come to the U.S., and the first movie, straight up racist shit.
Yeah.
Just pure racism as part of the, like, it's a character in the film. I'm like, oh my God.
Good old Mel Gibson.
And then we have him beaten up by two old American dudes that can't fight nearly as good as he could.
Yeah.
Like, you know he could kill them in like 3 or 4 strikes. That's all it would take.
He should have been dead in what's it, Murtaugh's house when he took them all when they had him surrounded.
Yeah.
He took
the fucking hammer off the gun.
Yeah, and just beat everybody. They should have all been dead, and that should have been the end of the movie. Should have been no more Lethal Weapon after that.
It's not a new team.
Yeah.
Put Russell Wong on the team.
So Damon Wayans and Russell Wong.
There you go. So you get your Asian American lead and your African American lead, and then just keep it going. But yeah, we need to do some videos like that, because like just this, what we just talked about, I never hear the guys who are supposedly into kung fu films talk about other movies like that you would watch.
Yeah.
They'll mention movies that, like, the movies didn't do good in Asia, they didn't do good in the US, they didn't do good in the UK. Why are you mentioning it? Nobody wants to see that shit. You got to mention or talk about the ones that it shows the extent of the skill level or the quality of this dude's performance or this, character or actor's performance. So yeah, we need to do that. Get into some Scott Adkins shit, and like, even though he's been in a lot of bad movies, he's never the worst thing in the movie.
No.
Never. But God, he's been in some terrible movies.
Contact or whatever, that space movie?
Oh yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof, that movie is butt.
No, what about Hard Target 2? That shit was booty. He kicked Rona Mitra through a wall, and she got up like nothing happened. All 85 pounds of her.
Into that shack.
Yeah, he kicked her through the whole shack.
Yeah.
She rolled. I'm looking at it like, ow, because if that was Hong Kong, she would have been dead.
Dead.
She would have been dead. But she got up like it was nothing. I'm like, wait up. This was Scott Adkins we're talking. This is Boyka. Kicked you through a building, through a structure.
Yeah.
And you got up like it was nothing, and you're a skeleton. Literally. This isn't thick Rona Mitra. This is like weird looking Rona Mitra right now.
I need to eat Rona Mitra.
Yeah. But anyway, we're dragging our ending. But yeah, we're going to talk about more of that shit. But as usual, thank you for watching and listening. And that's it for us. You've been great. Peace outside.
Later.